back with Currently in Progress, episode 22. On today's episode, we have Adam Stremlow. Adam may or may not be the reason that I got into van life. He initially took a Jeep trip across the country, and I saw that and immediately knew that I needed to do the same thing. So here we are now, finally sitting down and getting to chat about our travels.
That's pretty cool.
Dropped, where they literally dropped two dudes in Alaska, and they're like, "Okay, 100 miles, we'll meet you here in a month. See ya." And then
he did that.
Like, no, he
did the music for that. Oh, cool.
The last guy I podcast with was the cameraman for that, so he was telling me all about it. We were talking about how he they had to avoid a bear. In crossing the river, and they're like bear cubs and everything. He's like, it was kind of scary, but we saw her from really far away, so we weren't really that scared, and we also all had guns that could put her down quicker than anything. So
was it a grizzly?
Yeah. And they're like, because you can't fuck with brown bears out in Alaska. You're not supposed to you can't fuck with them at all. So they're like, oh yeah, no. We tried to stay away from it, and it stayed away from us, so it was all good.
I feel like running into a grizzly would be terrifying.
Yeah. Well, a part of it was, they saw it from, a good 300 yards out, and then it saw them, and it, sprinted towards them.
Really?
And, it covered, some ground and got, probably 80 yards away, he said, and then it got up on its hind legs so it could see over the kayaks, because they were, the inflatable kayaks, so they were hiding behind them. And then the bear, looks over it, and they're like, hi, can you not go, we're good? And then they went to the other side of the river and just chilled and went. It was, it would be scary as fuck.
Yeah.
But when you're with three or four dudes like that, he told me, he's like, I had a 44, this dude had a rifle, the other dude had a rifle, and then the fourth dude had a 44. We didn't have the heart to tell him the 44 did nothing, but at least he felt comfortable.
Right.
Yeah. So it was funny. It was a cool story that that he put. Yeah, Jason Brown's dope, and he gave me so much advice when it came to what I can do with this once I go on the road. He's like, dude, we can find a way to pay for a lot of shit if you if we plan it out, and we can do it. And I'm like, that's dope. Yeah. That's dope. So this is rolling, and we're good to go. Just an FYI.
Cool.
I started it after what we talked about before. So this is currently in progress. I don't really do any intros other than this, but you were by far one of the few top 3 people I thought of at the very beginning of this all. Just an FYI, because I wanted to talk to someone else about the whole process of living in a van and how that went. Because your first trip was what, 3 months?
2 months.
2 months.
2 months.
Okay, see, I was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's completely different. It's I had no time to rest, no time to do nothing.
Yeah.
I was just either sleeping, driving, or doing whatever I wanted to do.
Right.
The experience of it. You were probably just chilling. You had some downtime in yours, right? Or no?
Some, but I mean, it was a crazy trip. So I mean, it was in total, it was 2 months, exactly 2 months. I left June 1st, 2020, and then got back July 31st. So it was exactly 2 months. And it ended up being 13,000 miles. 13. I think I saw 17 different national parks. So I mean, so that alone, dude, just the amount of driving that I did in 2 months, it was quick.
Yeah.
But, so
what national parks did you hit?
So many, dude. Let's see. Started with the Badlands in South Dakota, and then Yellowstone, Grand Tetons, Glacier. Let's see. Then went over to Olympic National Park, Mount Rainier, Crater Lake, Redwoods, Lassen Volcanic. Which Lassen Volcanic is I don't know if you've been there, but that's a cool park.
Because I didn't get to go as north as you did.
Yeah.
That was the plan originally, but it got pushed back so late to where we were there in the winter.
There.
So I was like, there ain't no way I'm taking this van up through all that shit in the winter. Because that's going to be the next plan. Is next time I go out west, I'm only going north, and then I'm going to find my way down. Because we ended south and like Austin, Phoenix, stuff like that. Beautiful. Like when you're in the desert and it's 40 degrees at night and it's like 90 degrees during the day, you can just like there's no need. Well, like the comfort of like AC and stuff, you don't need it.
Right.
Like if you're in the right spot, you don't need that crap.
See, that's what like I think when I did my trip, I think I went the wrong way. I think I should have gone south first and then went north.
Yeah.
Because so when I was going through Glacier, it was I think June 15th or something. So there was still a lot of snow up in the mountains, and mid-June, and so half the park was closed. So I only got to see like Lake McDonald, and then I got to do a couple of hikes that are kind of more like low elevation.
Yeah.
But
So when would you have gone that you would have?
I think if I went the other way, because when I got down to Southern California, dude, it was so hot.
I believe it.
Like my clutch went out in Barstow, California, which is right on the edge of the Mojave Desert.
Yeah.
And so my clutch went out there. I had to get a new clutch and slave cylinder, and it cost me like $1,600, and I was in a hotel for like 3 days. But I think it's probably because it was so hot. It's hard on it. Plus, a bunch of other stuff, but. So when I was in that area, there was one night I slept, so Indio, California, that's right next to Coachella.
Okay.
I slept in a Walmart parking lot there, and this was the night before my clutch went out, or maybe the night after or something, but it was like 95 degrees at night, and sleeping in that little tiny Jeep, it was
probably hot as fuck.
Hot, dude.
Yeah.
So I think if I would have gone the other way, if I would have been rolling through that area, early June, but instead I was, there in like mid-July,
Yeah.
So
no, I definitely wouldn't want to be in California in July. No, that doesn't, because I was in California, what it would have been. It would have been like October. Mm-hmm. And it was, it sucks because the water's fucking freezing. Mm-hmm. But you get out of your car and it's 75 and sunny, all the time. It was so nice.
Yeah.
Did you hit any big cities in California?
I went through San Francisco.
Okay.
Which that was cool. I'd never been to San Francisco before, but drove through there. Just a lot of people.
Did you get on the trolley?
I didn't really do anything.
No.
I just
that was the one thing. If I were to go to San Francisco, is ride the trolley. I don't know why, but that's the one thing I think of.
I did see the Full House though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Nice. Is that nostalgic or what? You just drive by and you're like,
there wasn't any signs, because I think people someone lives there, and so.
They don't want it to obviously be.
Yeah, and so there's no signage. I don't know. I think I just Googled it and found it, but no signage. There wasn't really anybody outside doing anything.
How many people probably knock on that dude's house? Hey, can I get a tour? No, you can't, dude. It doesn't look the same.
Right.
No, that'd be dope.
But for the most part, I try to stay out of cities pretty much as possible.
See. It's hard to do when you're traveling, though, and you want to see shit, because there's so much that happens there. And, in the van, it obviously sucked because, you just can't park anywhere.
Yeah.
And you have to be super, you got to pay attention to height of shit.
Right.
Because I took off my AC unit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you can't see it from here, but it's up there, and it's half gone.
You can't go through, a drive-thru with that or anything,
No.
Yeah.
No. I don't need to go, I'm not a big drive-thru guy anyway, so I kind of get lucky there. But my brother... We were leaving Austin, and his big thing was hit all those burger spots, which I thought was freaking dumb. But burger spots being Whataburger and In-N-Out and all that. He loves burgers, and those big chains of burger places he always wanted to hit.
So good burgers.
We went to Dallas. And we went to hit one of them, and I'm pretty sure it was Whataburger, and I pulled into the thing, and about halfway into the driveway, I realized that there was a 10-foot clearance, and I slammed on the brakes, and I looked at him, I'm like, you are so fucking lucky that I noticed that. I was like, why they even have this here, I don't know.
Right.
But, yeah, I was just like, I'm so glad I saw this. Yeah, dude, no, traveling is nuts. It's, you get out, you do it, and you're just it's peaceful.
Yeah, man.
And when you get away from everything else, I heard in a song, but when you literally drive away from all the problems back home, aren't even problems anymore. You don't even think about it.
Right.
And it's just okay, this is pretty chill. all I gotta do is worry about where I'm parking this bitch today, and then that's it.
That's the best problem to have too.
It is, yeah. Like there's a lot of ways to solve that problem.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like you can do whatever you need to. Speaking of solving that problem, do you have like an app or something that you use?
Yeah, so most of the time I use their app, Free Roam.
Free Roam? Okay.
Between that one and iOverlander.
That's what I use,
The
yeah.
ones that I use the most, but...
you can always find a spot. It's so easy.
Yeah, I mean, especially out west, too, because they have so much public land.
Yeah.
Like, out east, like, you know... I think it's just, you know, differences in when these states were settled, right?
Yeah.
And so by the time, you know, public land, like the idea of having, you know, land set aside for public use
wasn't as big until, you know.
So everything out east is private.
Private and took up.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, all that BLM land and, man, it's so nice, so easy to find places out there.
BLM land is honestly, I was telling someone the other day how cool it'd be, because there's certain spots that, I mean, you got like 30, 40 cars parked. And like I was talking about the venue, how cool would it be to post up on one of those spots, walk around, knock on the door, and be like, hey, I do this, 10 o'clock, right over there at that green van. Yeah. If we all want to have, like, I don't know, I feel like we're all pretty cool. You're not doing this, you're doing this for a reason. You live here for a reason.
Right.
Let's all, like, meet up and hang out. Like, how cool would that be?
Yeah.
To, like, have it. And, like, the people I met, too, they went to, what's it called, Vanapalooza or whatever?
Oh, down in Arizona somewhere.
Yeah, and I saw that, and they like got kicked out of their site. Like wherever they were planning to have it, someone kicked them out, and they all, like, could you imagine, like, hundreds of buses, just like, oh, iOverlander, we're all going here, and then they just did, and that was it. Then they had Vanapalooza right down the road, and I'm like, to have a community that can, like, just up and do that whenever they want, like, I want to be a part of that shit. Like, that's dope.
Dude, people who live like that are just the coolest people. I mean, I know, you know, we were talking a little bit earlier, like, the people you meet when you're traveling are, I mean, for me, it's like, that's when I realized, like, that, you know, those are, like, my people, right? Like, just very carefree, you know, like, go with the flow, so easy to talk to, and just, like, you know, they're doing the same thing that you're doing, you both love it, and it's like, you know, you have common ground there, so it's like...
There's not going to be... I mean, like, there's not going to be issues. Like, there's no... there's only give and take in that situation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, no one's there to take anything, hopefully. But, like, but, like, at your home or, like, when you're at work or when you're just in an area, people always, like, I'm stuck here, so I might as well make it the best I can be. Well, you're not stuck here.
Right.
If you don't like it and you don't like me, we can solve this real quick by getting in the car and going.
Right.
But we might as well be cool, and, you know, because there's only two of us usually. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see, like, you see a lot of people, but you don't. And it was like, I went to Black Canyon National Park, and that was beautiful. The main reason I wanted to go was just because it was like the night sky kind of thing. Like, you could see the stars at night, and I was sitting there taking pictures, and I could hear, like, three dudes in their, like, Subaru taking pictures down, like, right in the campsite over. So I just walked over there, flashed my, like, flashlight, and all I could hear is, like, why is there a flashlight walking near us? And I just yelled. I was like, hey, you guys, like, seem cool. Like, what's up? and they're like, what's up? And I'm like, just, you know, taking pictures. And they're like, oh, that guy's taking pictures too. And we're sitting there talking. I'm like, where are you guys from? And they're like, oh, we just at Moab. Like, it was sick. I was like, I'm going to Moab next. And, like, just having those conversations is just, like, there's other people doing this weird shit too, and, like, they're also enjoying it. It's dope. And he slept. They were sleeping in tents, and it snowed that night.
Really?
So, like, by the time when I was getting up, I realized, like, how, like, I mean, we were under, like, a foot of snow. And I was like, I don't know if this van's even gonna start. I've never even drove this van in the snow, let alone down a cliff. Yeah. Because that's where we're at right now. We're up high.
When did you do that trip?
That would have been October to November last year. Yeah. So, yeah, and then I drove straight to Colorado, Denver. First thing, I, like, beeline to Denver. And it was nuts. I mean, but Denver is beautiful. Yeah. I honestly wouldn't mind hanging around Colorado for a while. And, like, just the life there, like the night, like, and that I like the big city in the sense to where, like, there's so much going on. Like, there's comedy clubs. I went to a free chili cook-off, didn't even realize it. Like, just ended up, and they're like, oh, do you have tickets? And I was like, tickets for what? And they're like, oh, it's a chili cook-off. I'm like, oh, give me a bowl. And they're like, oh, here you go. And then just walk in, get a free meal. I'm like, that's the perfect van life thing, because, like, I didn't want to pay for food. So It was
Had
awesome.
you been to Colorado before?
I have never been anywhere west of
Really?
Michigan.
Okay.
No. I've been to Florida, and that's about it prior to that. And I just knew, I was like, there's got to be some more shit out here that's cool to do. Like, there's got to be more stuff out here.
And that's like, dude, it was like exploring it like that, right? Like on your own terms and kind of just going where you want to go.
Yep.
And I think when you do it in a, when you do it in a bus or you do it in a van or something like that, you just get so much more intimate, right, with where you're at.
Yeah.
Instead of having to be like at a hotel or, you have to be back at this place at this time or, you have to be here. With a van or a bus, it's like, you're just going wherever you can park there, wake up in the morning to some beautiful scenery,
Yeah. Have a coffee and you're chilling in a lawn chair outside.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what am I doing with my life? And you're like, oh, it doesn't really matter. I'll figure it out later.
Exactly.
When I was in San Diego, I literally grabbed my lawn chair. I went out to the beach. I took my Yeti full of coffee. I shoved it in the sand. And I was reading a book called Talking to Strangers, okay? And Malcolm Gladwell. 3 people came up to me. And I literally made the joke. I was like, only reason I'm fake reading this book right now is so that strangers come up and talk to me. Because if they see me with that book, they'll be like, oh, this is cool. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I met like 2 or 3 people, and they all thought I was like rich or something. They're like, how are you here at 10 o'clock in the morning reading on the beach? And I'm like, I just quit everything. Like, this is there's no special secret. You just drive here and do it.
Right.
And it was definitely an experience, and I like literally now all I'm doing is waiting to do it again.
Right. You get that itch, man.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so and like you don't like. I tell you what, the sheer fact of driving.
Right.
Okay, the mode of driving is probably the funnest part.
Yeah.
And if you don't like driving, you'll never like this. But like, I can roll that window down and look out and be like, this is fucking nice. And one of the big things I love driving to work here is I can see all those the windmills and like at night and the flashing.
Yeah.
You get out west, and there's parts like that, but it's like hundreds times bigger.
Right.
So you're sitting there driving down a 2-hour road where there's nothing, and then all of a sudden there's a sea of red next to you, and you drive next to that for 2 hours, and it's like, this is beautiful.
Well, I love too, man. Like when you get up into, you get into some elevation, right? That's, man, I fell in love with the mountains, and like I'd never spent time like that before in the mountains, but until this trip, and then it's like, man, you're missing something when you don't,
Yeah, because like, well, in Beaverton, so like not Beaverton, Coleman area. We're from Michigan, obviously. You have your scenery, and you have other scenery, and it was our scenery I think is beautiful, and I've always appreciated it. But the instant you go see that, and then you come back, it's like, holy crap!
It's a whole nother world, man.
Oh yeah, but like here is green.
Yeah.
There's nothing green out there.
Right.
Which is nuts. And like here, I can see maybe 300-400 yards down a field. There, you can see until your eyes are not able to see anymore. Like, that like it's all there. There is one road, I think it's like, I forgot what highway it is, I-66 or something. But you get on that, and there's one point where you're so high up, you can look down and you can see like however many miles ahead of you where you're gonna go, and there's nothing but mountains and nothing but like, it's like you're a dinosaur traveling across the freaking expanse, like, and you're trying not to die.
Right.
It's crazy. And like Death Valley, did you ever go there, National Park?
No, so I was the day my Jeep broke down, I was gonna go to Death Valley, and it was gonna be. I looked at the weather right after it broke down, and it was gonna be 123 degrees in Death Valley that day.
So you're like, I'm out.
Yeah. Because like I was gonna go because I was just leaving Sequoia and I was driving south, and when I got into Sequoia, I mean, it was probably like, I don't know, 80 or something.
Yeah, so not crazy.
75. When I got out, you drop so, you're getting close to the desert. And, it went up probably like 30 degrees, and it was like 110.
You're like, screw that, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, I could do it. I mean, I really want to do it. Same with Joshua Tree. I wanted to see Joshua Tree.
Yep.
But I didn't end up going to either because it was so hot. Which, looking back, was a good idea because
you didn't want to fuck up your car more.
If it broke down, broke down right in the desert,
you'd be screwed.
Yeah.
So I went to both those places, and we just drove through. But like Death Valley is like, have you ever watched Love, Death, Robots? Have you ever seen that?
No.
Okay, so there's this episode where these 2 dudes, they're salesmen, whatever, they break down in the middle of the desert, and then everything turns into an old, like, it's nighttime, and all like the old ocean creatures, you can see them kind of like go through the desert, because that's what it used to be, was water, obviously. If you drive through Death Valley, there's a certain spot to where if you look to your left, you could literally imagine like a river going through that, and you can see right where the river stops and all the vegetation like starts, and it's literally like so trippy because it's exactly that show, and you're like, okay, like there could be fish there was definitely fish and like sharks and shit right where I'm at right now, and it was cool, like just to be able to like think about the past a little bit, like this is here, and there's so much has happened here, you know.
It's cool that you had that, you know, that kind of realization, or like that kind of.
Literally, I thought about that as it was happening. I was like, this is a river. Like I am in a river right now, except it's dried up and there's nothing here now. Right. But this is totally. You could legit like same as Joshua Tree. Those, I mean, not the big Joshua trees, but when they're when they're just starting, they're only about that tall. There'll be a section to where there's nothing, just sand, and then all of a sudden it's like a little valley, and it's like, okay, there's definitely would have been a river there, or something, and then all of it just blows up. Like there's like you can't walk in that crap, like because you're gonna be stepping on the trees the entire time. They're so close together, but it's beautiful. And then you see the big Joshua trees, and you're like, okay, like those are pretty fucking dope. Like I've never seen a tree like that before in Michigan. Like all of ours, you know, look the same. You know,
I gotta make it back out there, man. I want to do that again, or I want to go to Joshua Tree and actually see that. I feel like did you like Joshua Tree or Death Valley more?
I like Joshua Tree.
Did you?
Joshua Tree was definitely, it wasn't as big, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it wasn't as big. We drove through that a little bit quicker, but like the colors were definitely, there was a lot more colors. It was cool. Because like in a place where you don't see colors, it's like, oh, well, I'll stick around here for a little bit. But yeah, no, it was, and then like, California is like the dream, you know, like that's just where you want to go. And like honestly, logistically it's horrible. Like to live there would be horrible, but to just travel through it and to be like experience all that was it was amazing.
Yeah, I loved the natural aspect of California. Like I think out of all the states, California has the best scenery, or you know, it's up there,
or at least a range,
right? Exactly.
Like north,
it's so different.
Up north is completely different than down south. Like, you know what I'm saying? You actually get the trees, you get the waterfalls, you get whatever you need up there. Yeah.
It was just like so many people in California. You know, everything's so expensive. So many people. I actually had almost all my issues that I had on my trip happened in California too. So
yeah,
I think that left a bad taste in my mouth. Like my clutch going out was in California. I got poison oak in California. Let's see. I think my starter started to go out in California. The day after I got my clutch fixed, I started having battery issues, and so I had to get new terminals. Well, it ended up being my my light bar. The wiring with my light bar was shorting it out, and so like it wouldn't start.
Yeah.
And so after I disconnected everything, like I haven't had any issues with it starting since. But so that was in California as well. Yeah. So it's like,
so when you're like build wise, you did everything, right?
So actually when I bought the Jeep, it already had the lift. It had different larger tires on there, but I put the ones that are on there now, which are the Milestar Patagonias.
Yep.
And they're good, but they're just really soft. Yeah. So like I've already gone through like basically a set of them. Yeah. And I've only had them for like 2 years.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
And then like the light bar, the guy put it on there before. The bumper, the guy put on there before. But then like I put on the hardtop, I put on the roof rack, I put on I just got a winch for it, which is sick. Yeah. I did like everything inside the Jeep myself. But those are the things that were already done.
Yeah. Fair.
But
the build is definitely crucial.
Yeah.
Going through that and like designing it and figuring it out and like what you need specifically compared to what other people have done. Right. Because like YouTube, obviously, you get a lot of shit and you get a lot of ideas, and then you get a little bit ahead of yourself. But at least I do. Yeah. Because I literally the original plan for me was to do a truck.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, truck's going to be the easiest thing for me to buy. I just switch it out, boom, truck, game over. And then this thing popped up, and I was like, well, that seems a little bit more long-term.
Right.
So let's get that. And now I can't wait to, like, gut it and redo it and have it all, like...
It's so exciting, man. Like, doing that, you know... honestly, the whole conversion thing is such a cool lifestyle, you know.
Yeah.
People living out of it, you know, but then also just the aspect of actually doing the conversion is exciting, man. Like,
because like
it's creative.
You're creating your home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is your home, and like you're limited to so much space, but you're not limited by what you do.
Right.
Because like I can, like, there's some weird shit you can pull out and do this and do that, and like I can make this to where you've never seen any of this stuff before, and people come in and they're like, oh my god, like you live in this? And I'm like, yeah, I live in this. And they're like, oh my, like, this is so cool, you have everything. And I'm like, yeah, like, it's not. And then some people are looking at you like you're crazy, and it's like, well, you're just not adventurous enough. you clearly just like the simple, like, you know, you like the simple life. And I don't know. I just don't want that, and I want to see what else can happen.
I'd rather have, you know, life experiences than, you know, just
money,
like sticking to a 9 to 5, really. You know,
experiences are just being able to talk about it is like the crucial part, like the memories.
Yeah, that's what. But yeah, like with my build that I just did, it's funny because, like, you know, I just started getting into Pinterest. Yeah. So I was finding a bunch of stuff on there. You know, like, the bed idea was from, like, you know, one thing I found on Pinterest, and then the whole, like, kitchen idea was something I told you I found on YouTube.
Yep.
So it was cool, like, just, like, piecing together these different things. And honestly, I didn't really have that good of an idea of what I wanted to do before I started it. I just kind of started. And then, like, I knew I kind of wanted, like, that kind of bed. I knew I wanted, like, a pull-out, you know, kitchen. But then as I started going, you know, things change, obviously, and like, you know, it just tailored to what it is now. But
you don't want to set your mind up too early, for sure, because then
just let the saw talk.
Yeah, just let the saw talk. Yeah, because I mean, halfway through you'll be like, okay, that didn't work at all. Like, let's figure this out. And yeah. I like the way that shit pulls out, though. Like, because it obviously, like, it opens it up, and when you're standing out there, you don't have to, like, reach in and actually do stuff. It's right there. It's ready to go.
Today was the first day when I was up in Roscoe. Today was the first day that I actually, like, you know, used the slide out and, like, you know, used it to cook, you know, cook on. Yeah. And like, used it basically as like a countertop, you know, and just was cutting on potatoes and stuff, and so much nicer, dude. Yeah. So much nicer than having everything to, like, inside and having to reach inside and
do it all. Yeah, just the convenience of it.
Yeah.
Have you had anyone either like recently or like on your trip while you were outside your Jeep and just like, hey, like, what's up, like?
Oh yeah. The first night actually that I was in the national park, when I was in the Badlands, I met this couple from Indiana. Yeah. And they were in a converted van, and they were young. I mean, they were probably like 26, 27, I think. But they had just bought it, and that was their first trip. Was out there. Yeah. And did you go to the Badlands?
I did not know.
So right outside of the Badlands, just north of there, it's Wall, South Dakota. Yeah. And there's you know, from there, and you're driving into the park entrance, there is, like, literally, like, a wall, and it just, like, drops off. And so and it's a huge spot for dispersed camping. Yeah. And so you know, you drive into the park. It's right before you get out there, and you pull off the main road, and everything in South Dakota is so open, which is cool. It's you know, all prairies and stuff. But so you pull off the road, and you go out, and it's just this huge ledge. Like, everything's flat, but you're at, like, you're at the top of this huge ledge. And so a bunch of people park out, like, on the ledge. And so I drove over and found a spot. And I was just getting everything set up in the back of my Jeep, and then the van that these guys had, they pulled up next to me, and they got out, and they had a dog, and so they were gonna go walk their dog. Yep. And like, they were walking by and saw my Jeep, and we started talking, and you know, I think the next day we ended up
some Harleys.
The next day we went on some hikes together, and we basically spent, like, the entire next day, and I think a little bit the day after together. Yeah. So, like, that was so cool, because, you know, that was like my first day out there.
Yeah.
And I'm already meeting people who are like sweet, and I'm just spending the entire day with them.
Yeah, willing to hang out with you and just like, oh yeah, we're here, let's go.
Yeah.
It's nuts how people like any other social norm is just like, oh hi, see ya, bye. Like even with your friends, even with your best friends, there's situations where you're just like, hey, okay, like I got this shit to do today, see ya. And it's just like, no, we're here to. When you're there, it's just like, oh, you meet someone, oh, you're walking here, oh, let's walk together, and that walk ended up being 5 hours. Like, you learn a lot, and you can like,
There's another guy.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's another guy I met when I was from South Dakota, or from the Badlands. I went to Mount Rushmore, which it was cool, but like it was just a.
It's just Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
But I was hiking around there, and I met a guy. He was probably a 62-year-old. I don't know if he was retired at the time. I think he told me he was on a sabbatical, but he was like really high up in IT somewhere out in Boston. And his name was Adam too. And so like we were on some trail, whatever, and he was like, he started talking to like a ranger, and I was kind of behind him, and then like I interjected and started talking as well, and then we got to talking. And kind of bonded over that, the same name. But, here I am, like 23, recent graduate, and he's a, 62-year-old, guy from Boston.
Yeah.
But, like, we were just hitting off, and he such a cool guy. But he was traveling in an R-Pod, and I think he ended up being out there. I mean, he was out there longer than I was, but we hung out for a little bit in Yellowstone a couple days later.
Yep.
And that was the first time I flew a drone. I flew his drone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like as soon as I flew his, like I think I got mine like 5 days later.
Yeah,
it's like
this is mine. Yeah,
I'm doing it.
Which one did he have?
The same
mini.
The mini.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah,
that's dope.
So
I drove that. I was thinking about that too. I didn't know. I didn't know that you couldn't drive those in national parks. So I had a dude. I like started to take it off, and a dude like, "What are you doing?" And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Oh, sorry." And then I just like, I went on to the next place. But I was like, "Oh fuck, like this will be cool." Like, like it was at Black Canyon. And, I mean, dude, you're thousands and thousands of feet up in the air. Like, not only is your view just standing there cool, but like I got that drone up like 10 feet, and 10 feet above me looked way cooler. I was like, I was like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And no, drones are dope. I was actually looking into getting that like pilot's license so you can do your drone like flights commercially and like make money off it. And I'm like, that's definitely going to be something I do here soon, because that like. Even Keegan, my buddy, was telling me, he's like, real estate, like, will pay you a lot of money just to fly your drone around their houses, right? And I was like, yeah, seems like a smart move. Because no one has drones and no one does, like, I don't know very many companies. I mean, I obviously also don't look, but still, like, you don't think there's very many companies like, oh, I drive a drone for a living, and then people like, oh, I could use that. I could use, so that'd be dope. And, like, the photography side of it, because you do that too. You showed your one edit on Facebook. That was dope.
The one just recently?
Yeah, because your edit, I was like, that picture's dope. And then you showed me the original. I was like, that picture's pretty lame. And I was like, I was like, that picture is pretty just a picture.
Yeah.
And then like your the way you backlit the
light coming in.
Yeah, the light coming in, and I was like, how did he do that? I was like, when did he take that picture? And then you showed the edit. I was like, oh, okay, well that makes more sense.
The edit was nothing like that.
Yeah, no, it was you showed the one. It was before, it was after, and then before. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I was like, your before is like, I was like, oh, I thought that was just a really good picture.
Yeah.
No, you messed that, like, you got that good.
When I started because I only forgot my first camera right before my trip in 2020.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like. For the first for the entire trip, I think pretty much I was just on automatic mode.
Yeah, so you just wasn't messing with
just
anything.
Taking pictures. But then I got back, and like that's when I started getting into it more, and like really realize figuring out how to use the camera.
Yeah, and like the settings and
and then switching to raw mode,
doing what you want.
Yeah.
Making it look like that.
It's and then also Lightroom. Like Lightroom is a game changer.
Yeah,
like that is nice. It's expensive, but worth it, dude.
It's definitely worth it because you get pictures like that.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't have got like I was about to say, I was like, there's no way. I was like, how did he do this? I was like, there's no way you get this picture on skill of picture, like just taking the picture. But It was dope. I like that. And like you have a lot of like photography now that you rented that one when you were in Olympia or something. You rented that one big ass lens.
Yeah.
How dope was that?
That was nice.
Yes.
That was what was it? It was it a 200 to 400 millimeter or
Was it it had the red line at the end, right?
Yeah.
So it was probably like the 28 by 70, or was it the bigger one?
No, it was bigger. I think it was like 200 to 400 or something.
Yeah. And it was probably like a $2,000 lens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I rented it for the entire week for like a couple $100, I think.
Yeah.
Which
and you got
so
some
worth
sick
it.
ass pictures.
It was so funny though, because like I was putting it on my little Canon M50.
Yeah.
Which is this big. And the lens it like weighs 4 times as much.
Yeah. So you're just like whatever. Yeah.
But,
no, that's going to be the next step too, is getting a good camera set up and figuring that out, because not only do you want to experience this stuff, but you want to document it.
Exactly.
And if you can't document it, then not saying that there's no point, but there's definitely like value in the fact that you can create content and just have that stuff and be like, okay, well, son, daughter, you look what your dad did in 2020, and also like, I don't know, just being in the time period we are now with like COVID and just everything that's happening, being like the first time shit's happening.
Right.
Like van life isn't like the last time anyone did van life was when they were traveling in horse and buggies and it was like the Oregon Trail.
Right.
Like this is like glorified camping, and it's super fun.
Yeah.
And it's just no one's done it.
Right.
And no one's done it.
That's what but like going to your topic of being able to document it, right?
Yeah.
Like I see it as like you're making art, right?
Yeah.
And to have like some kind of like creative outlet like that, it's so cool, because like having some kind of like your creative mind is so different from your like analytical mind, or like your everyday
left, right.
Yeah. And so I don't know, you just feel so much more alive, I think, when you're making when you're making art. It doesn't matter what it is, but
meaningful.
Yeah, exactly.
It's literally like the only meaning is the meaning that you give to it. You know what I mean? Like that's the only reason it's cool. And like the fact that like you can show it, like this is what I did.
Right.
Like I did do this. Like Angel's Landing, I did hike that and took pictures at the top of it. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just shit people haven't done that you want to show off, I guess.
Right. And you can have, like you can have the same view photographed a million times. I mean, like look at tunnel view in Yosemite, right? Like, I mean, that's been photographed so many times, but like, it doesn't matter, because like if you are the one taking the photo, right? Like it's special to you, and it doesn't really matter, if it's been seen millions of times. Like, you were there, you took that picture. Like it's special to you, and that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
So.
And then you got to edit it your way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh man, that is dope.
Yeah.
Like the art side of it, and like the creating content side of it is dope, because like now you can actually make money off that.
Right.
Like not only like are you doing this for fun, but like there's a couple $2-3 that you can make off a picture or selling it. Like if you have the means to create the art, you have the means to sell it.
Right.
And you also, it's just if you actually are good enough or marketable enough to do it.
Right.
And that would be that'd be ideal, because like you can sit there and like travel bloggers. I never thought that was a real thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these dudes get paid to go to places, write about it,
Yeah.
and take pictures, and that's it. Like how cool is
Man,
that?
that's a dream, isn't it?
Exactly. Like how? Yeah. Like why can't someone pay me to do that? And it's just and your life is just. Your work is experiences. Like all I have to do is have experiences. Okay. And then now, if that's your whole life, you have the means now to where the simple experiences aren't enough. You know what I mean? Now you have to chase shit. You have to like, I can't just, like you said, I can't just take that picture at Yellowstone at the same spot everyone else does. I got to do something different.
Right.
I got to do something. I got to be outside the box. I got to go somewhere else that no one's been. And like you see those docu-series of people like, there's one guy I saw like climb Mount Everest without a shirt or something, and I'm sitting there, I'm like,
probably?
yeah, I was like, how did you do that? And it's just like, I don't know, that art, like that's art to me. Like there ain't no way like you're putting your body through that.
Right.
It's just same as working out, same as bodybuilding. You know what I mean? That's like if you can do that, you can do a lot of things.
Right.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
So let's get back to
a little bit of currently in progress, I guess, action. But what are you doing now? Like, you're working as an accountant.
Yep.
You just did your van or your new Jeep build.
Yep.
Like, what's next?
So I still got a few things to add in there, but I mean, you know, it's primarily done. There's a few mechanical things on the Jeep that I gotta get fixed. The transmission, it's been like, it hasn't had 4th year since I bought it, and but I mean, it's, you know, it drives fine. But I want to get that taken care of before I do anything else anything else that's bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at doing that, you know, here soon. But then after that, I have one big trip this summer that I'm thinking. I want to go to Banff.
Yep.
Up in Canada. And I'm taking off. You know, I have the 4th of July week off. And then I'm taking the week right before that off, and then I'm either taking the week before that or the week after the 4th week, and working remote, and going out there and spending like 3 weeks in Banff. So, so immediate future, that's what I'm thinking. And then down the road, I'm not sure yet, but I was talking to somebody the other day, and it'd be such a cool lifestyle or, you know, career path, right, to start doing van conversions. Yeah. And doing custom conversions and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously it's something that's like, you know, interesting.
And you like doing it.
Yeah. Like doing it, right? And, you know, that's another thing. It's like, that's like a creative outlet. And because you can be creative with what you're doing, and you can, you know, figure out different ways to do it. So I don't know, I might kind of think about something maybe that in the future, but.
So starting a business and converting.
Yeah.
Converting specifically Jeeps or converting anything?
Anything, dude. I mean, you can convert anything.
Yeah, well, no, yeah.
But
just your niche.
Yeah.
Your niche would be you'd want to do everything.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So.
Dude, have you ever heard of Tommy Camper Vans?
Mm-mm.
It's in Arizona. That's all they do is they have like a warehouse where like outside in their parking lot is just ProMaster, Sprinter, after whatever. People just drop them off and say, okay, in 3 months I want to come back and this is going to be done. And they're like, okay, cool, see ya. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, that would be so dope to work for that, like a company like that.
Yeah.
There's a girl back in high school. I went to a wedding, talked with her. Her boyfriend was like best friends with Tommy Camper Vans. And he's like, we almost made that business here, but it wasn't as big of a clientele. So he moved to Arizona and did it, and the guy, her boyfriend, is doing it up north. He doesn't have a business yet, but he's doing...
Here in Michigan?
In Michigan, yeah. His name's Max. He's done... I don't know exactly where they visit all the time, so they can't be that far.
Yeah.
But they're around Midland. But he said he had some COVID money when I talked to him. And because he was still working, but I don't know how there was just COVID money. He said he had extra cash. The stimulus and stuff.
Yeah.
He bought a van, renovated it, and I mean, he did like the dark stain like you.
Yeah.
And it was a Transit. It was a Ford Transit. It was like the smaller version.
Yep.
He literally gave that to a homeless dude because it didn't really run very well. He wouldn't take it on the highway, is what he said. He would take it on in the city, but he's like I didn't really feel comfortable driving it. It had a bed, it had storage, had the whole inside. So he literally gave it to a homeless dude. He's like, you can live in this, and you can like. He's like, I'd be skeptical driving it around, but like if you park it somewhere and that's your van, like that's your van. Like, here's awesome. The title, here you go. And he just gave it to him, and I tell you what, that dude got a sick ass van.
Yeah.
Like, it was, I'm not even kidding you, like carpentry was mint, like pull out drawers, like it was the real deal. And I thought that was dope, and I was like, dude, like,
what was he doing before he started doing that?
I don't know. We were at that wedding, first time I ever met him, and I was talking to him about like just what I was doing. He's like, dude, I renovated one. Look at this shit. Like, showed me all of this. Yeah. He's like, I love doing this, blah, blah, blah. His girlfriend left. His girlfriend was like, I don't want to, like, he's like, he talks about this too much. Like, I'm out of here. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'll sit here and talk to him about it. But yeah, it was dope, and I think there's definitely a market for it. You could definitely, and like the market's only going to get bigger.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's definitely not going to get smaller from this point because not enough people do it.
Right.
And
especially, I mean, you look at like, you know, how expensive home prices are. Right? Yeah. And like, one, how expensive home prices are, and two, the ability to work remote. You know. Yeah. And like, obviously people want to travel and people want to have these experiences, like, but
they just don't want to do the work to, I mean, the conversion part is hard.
Right.
Yeah, it's super hard.
Yeah. I mean, I did like, I mean, mine's not like, you know, to the scale of what a van would be, but I mean, mine took 4 days literally, you know, of like, you know, like from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed at like, you know, whatever, like 7 to, you know, 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And like 4 straight days, and I only, you know, I did what I did.
Yeah.
But like you're doing an entire conversion, like an entire van, like that's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while. It's
stressful.
It's going to take manpower. It's going to take, well, not only that, like you're going to fuck something up and you're going to have to know how to fix it. And you're also going to want someone next to you to be like, hey, we can still fix this. Don't give up.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Because that's, I mean, it's hard. It's definitely a process.
Yeah.
That would be a dope career, though.
It would be. I mean, yeah. And, the, you know, the people, I think the, you know, your clientele, right? Like, they're going to be like-minded people. You know, they're people who want to travel and they want to get out there. So it's like, you know, not only is it doing something, you know, are you doing something that you enjoy and is like creative, but you're also interacting with people who are, you know, cool people. And so...
And that's going to be your fleet when you go out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I did all your vans. I'm going out here this weekend. Anyone want to come? And it's just like, oh, well, shit. Everyone else is out. Like, especially with your planning the way you do. Like, I mean, you're planning for July, and it is, you know, what is it, May? Like, you got plenty, like, you could send that out and be like, oh, let's, like, these 3 weeks, we're going to Banff.
Right.
If you want to go, you know, pile in. Let's follow out.
I met when I was down in let's see, where was I? So I was in Northern California, just outside the Redwoods. Yeah. And I met a young couple, and they had just converted a van. They were from Florida, and they had just converted a van. And they were, you know, traveling around the country, and that was their first van conversion. And I met them. We were cliff jumping, all in the Smith River, which is like, it's beautiful. And we were cliff jumping. It was funny actually because like I pulled in. I just wanted to see I just wanted to walk down the river. So I walked down there, and you're like where you walk out onto, you're, you know, whatever, like 20 feet above the water. And I was like, hell yeah. Like I already cliff jumped a few other times on that trip, and I was like, I'm just going to do it. Yeah. So I went back up there and like, you know, got changed and stuff and went back down. And then these guys were on the other side of the river. So I started jumping, and they saw me doing it, and they came over.
Fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, and so we all started doing it, and it was so cool. And then we camped we all camped together that night, and then we went our separate ways the next day. But like, you know, I followed them on Instagram and stuff, and we still talk, you know, on occasion. But when they get back to Florida after their trip, they sold their van and started a conversion company. Yeah. And now, you know, that was 2 years ago, and now it sounds like they're booked, you know, pretty much all summer. Doing conversions. Yeah. And so they're doing super well. They're really nice people. And just like, you know, what a cool lifestyle that'd be. Yeah. So,
no, that's super cool. And like, when it comes to careers, if something hits you that hard, like, oh, like, man, I really think that I could give that a shot. And like, you'll never know until you do. Right. And it is also like, me going out and living in this and like filming, and like if I want to film, like I'll never know if I'm good at any of this until you up and do it. And it's just like, but you're definitely gonna make you got to make the jump and do it. Like there's something in you, like you didn't get that van to do this, to not do the next step. You know what I mean? You have to do the next step.
Yeah. I mean, everything that we do is meant to happen, right? Like, yes. I mean, you know, we're exactly where we're at because, you know, it was meant to be. Yeah. And you know, you wouldn't have these urges to do these things if, you know, it wasn't leading to something bigger in your life, right? So, you know, obviously there's some kind of connection there with, you know, what you're currently doing and what your path is going to be. Currently. So, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's dope. That's dope. And like, not only, and I was talking to someone about this the other day. It was on Joe Rogan. I listened to the shit out of him. Back in, obviously, if we go like just history of humanity or history of humans, everything used to be to the point where like you have to provide. Yeah. Like if you're not good enough to provide for the group, like you either have to do one thing or another, and like the creative things weren't even involved then because like there was too much to do. Right.
But if life is creative, like you had to be
creative just to survive. Yeah. So, and then obviously you have like the Industrial Revolution, and everything got to be to where like people could tell you what to do and you could survive. You know what I'm saying? Sure. So there was that less creativity. There was less like
they got living down to a science, basically. Down to a
yeah, exactly. So then now we're getting to the point where everything's getting creative again. And hopefully the living down to a science is so down to a science that we don't even have to do it.
Subconscious.
You know what I'm saying? Like, well, not even that, just like the basic necessities, like home, food, water. It's done. It's all done for you.
Right.
And if you can do it in a van, you can do it anywhere. You know what I mean? So then now hopefully the shift of like work and life is now...
And it's happening, man.
It's happening. Like, it's so cool. And like, I want to be hopefully early enough in that to where... Like, I'm one of the trendsetters, or not even trendsetters, but like, I want to get in it early because it seems like such a fucking good thing to do. Like, if I can make money being creative and doing what I love, then why else would I do it? Like, yeah. I don't know about when it comes to like your accounting. Did you always, like high school growing up, were you like, I just want to be an accountant because...
No.
Like, no.
No, man. So I got
no, just flat out no. Like I was.
No. So I got out of school, and I went to Saginaw Valley to play football, and I started studying mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
Originally, but then I went through a year of that, and I was like, it's not really for me. And so when I was kind of, prior to when I was looking at schools, I was looking at like Saginaw Valley was obviously like the one that I wanted to go to, but I was also looking at some D3 schools, and a lot of those schools don't have engineering. So I was like, okay, if I'm gonna go to one of these schools, I got to major in something else other than engineering. And like, accounting is always top of the list, so you always see it.
Yep.
And I knew that it was similar to engineering in the sense that like, it's hard, but it's like it's stable, pays well.
Yep.
And you're always gonna be able to find a job in it. So I was like, that sounds good to me. Like consistent paycheck and it's stable. So that's what I started going into. Had my first couple classes at Saginaw Valley. I never knew an accountant before I chose it.
Yep.
So I didn't really know much about what the actual work was like. But I knew like I enjoyed learning about accounting when I was in school. And I was like, I could do this.
Run it.
So went through school. It was good. I was pretty good with accounting. I ended up tutoring my last couple of years there. And then, I had an internship my junior year of college, and then that same firm hired me in full-time after work. So, like the progression of everything was super nice and, easy. I really liked the people I worked with.
Smooth, yeah, like...
And, and so, like they're all, nice, genuine people. But...
not as much your niche.
Yeah, it's like, to me, I just want to do something a little more creative, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think I realized that until I got out of school, right? I think that like my trip was like a game changer. Like it was like life changing.
Yeah. In
so many ways. But I think the biggest thing that I took away from it was like, I just don't want to exist, right? Like I don't want to just be here making a paycheck. Yeah. Like I want to, I if I could have a cool experience and a cool life and a life that I'm proud of, like I could make, very little money. Yeah. Like, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Have you ever seen, I don't know I forgot who said it. I heard it somewhere, but if you make over, like when it comes to just happiness being like the value, anything over $60,000 a year isn't viable. It doesn't do anything for you when it comes to happiness. It does obviously pay. I mean, it solves money problems, but it doesn't solve your problems, which is something cool. Like once I heard that, I was like, dang, I can rock a $60K a year job and be pretty chill.
Right.
And like you also think about college, okay? Did you work during college?
A little bit.
Okay. Imagine all the crap you did in college. With how much money you had. You know what I'm saying? That shit was probably some of the best times of your life. You had barely any money, but guess what? You had everything you could ever need.
Right.
You know what I mean? You had all the fun. Dude, going back, I remember Saginaw used to be, like, back when we were all the kids, that used to be the shit. Like, you would go to Saginaw and you'd party. Like, you'd go to Campus Village and you go into a house, like, apartment to apartment and just waiting for the people to shut you down and just go to the next place. And, like, it was so fun. And there was not a care in the world. I had probably a good, solid $500 in the bank account. Yeah. And I was like, that's plenty. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's awesome.
Dude, so there's this couple I watch on YouTube. Let's see, Elsa Ray and Baron.
Okay.
they live in a scamp, so a little tiny 13-foot camper in Colorado, and really, really cool people. But they were talking about, I think they were doing like a Q&A, and one of the questions was like, how do you afford this lifestyle? And I thought their response was so cool. It's like, don't think about how much money you need to make to live this lifestyle. Like, like adjust your current expenses to
what you have.
Exactly. So like, don't try and make more, but just try and spend less, right?
Yeah.
So like live more of a minimalist lifestyle. You don't need all of these, luxuries.
Yeah.
And like then just go, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so I think that's, I think who said it? Henry David Thoreau. Like he who is richest is he whose pleasures are the cheapest. So,
Exactly.
It doesn't matter how much money you make if you're content with, something that's free.
If you're
then you're just as rich as somebody else who's
Yeah.
making tons of money.
If you're happy sitting out under the stars, you're good to go.
Exactly.
You don't gotta pay for shit.
Yeah.
No, that's the simple pleasures are definitely what make the road the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what makes you want to do it.
Right.
Man, that's dope.
Yeah. But
No, and then okay, so and like growing up, just because we're on the football SVSU football topic, because like we grew up playing football together. You were Coleman, I was Beaverton. We didn't play each other in like conference, but I always knew who you were in the sense of like you were one of the better quarterbacks in the area, and I was like, dude, this dude's dope. And honestly, I don't know when we met. I think it was
like a
definitely
7-7 or something,
Yeah.
or sometime around then, I think.
it must have been because I remember we scrimmaged you guys.
Yeah,
We
maybe that's what it
scrimmaged
was.
senior year, and I tell you what, I went into that and I was like, we're gonna kick these guys' ass, and I was like, we're good, blah blah, and I came in. That was my first ever scrimmage being a starting quarterback, and I couldn't tell, like that whole scrimmage against you guys, I shit the bed. Like I couldn't make a throw, couldn't do nothing, and then like the rest of the scrimmage, I started to calm down, figure it out. But like I would blame that on the sheer fact of playing you and knowing who you were, and I was like, dude, this guy's gonna come in here and fucking sling some shit.
Yeah.
And I was telling all my friends, I was like, dude, you got to guard this guy. He's gonna do this. I knew what you guys were gonna do, and it was so fun just to just compete against you and just watch you. Because I was like, when did you start getting offers and stuff? Because you were up from like sophomore up.
Yeah. I started. When I was a sophomore all the way through. Let's see. I know I started getting letters from. It was weird. I started getting letters from like Ivy League schools. Like I remember like Brown and like maybe like Cornell sending me letters and stuff like that. Which is, they never offered me, but it was just weird getting that stuff.
Yeah.
And then. But I know like Concordia in Ann Arbor, they gave me my first offer, I think, and then like Hope gave me an offer. I think Alma, and those are they're D3, so they're not scholarship. Yeah. But they they wanted me.
They want it, yeah.
And then I don't know. It probably started happening like sometime in junior year, but because junior year was my first that was like the big year that I had.
Big year, yeah.
And so yeah, after that probably.
That was dope.
But
no, it was definitely fun watching you play football. Like it was just like holy shit.
Did you graduated in 16, right? Or
I graduated in 15.
15? Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, we were the same. But yeah, no, it was always cool playing against you because it was just a weird connect, like the fact like you're number 10, I was number 10. I was like this guy is like, I don't know him at all, but I was like, this guy is cool. Like there's no way you're a small town quarterback and you're all this, like there's so much relationship we had prior to even knowing each other. I was like, this guy's got to be cool. And then this whole thing that happened with when you told me you went on the van trip, I was like, that was the first time I heard about anyone that I knew doing that.
Right.
So then I was like, this fucker went out and just drove his van for 3 months or drove his Jeep for 3 months. I was like, I want to do that. Like that sounds so cool. And that was the start of it. And I would tell, and I don't know about you, you had a Jeep, so that's a little bit different in the sense of like, you had the means, you just had to like kind of set it up. But like, I had a car, and no one looked at me like, you're not going to live in a car, okay?
Right.
Like, you're not going to do that. So I didn't really have the money, the means to do, like, get a new vehicle and blah, 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 and do all that. So I'm sitting here talking about this for 2 or 3 years about doing this trip. And
That's hard, dude. Because
no one believed me.
You have such an itch already.
Yeah, and everyone is sitting there just like, dude, why do you keep talking about this? Why do you? And my parents were like sitting there like, you're weird. Like, why? Like, you quit talking about this. You're not.
Right.
You don't have the means to do it. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking up Craigslist, and I'm looking at vans, dude. I'm looking at crappy vans. Like, I'm making this, like, happen. I sent a picture of one, and dude, it was like a steel thing with a motor. Like, it was not something you'd want to live in. And I sent it to my dad. Next day, my dad sends me a picture of this thing. He's like, Cassidy's are selling this. Do you want to buy it? And I'm like, I was like, how much? He's like, $7,000. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, we'll run it. So, yeah, dude, it was, when you talk about stuff long enough, shit happens.
Right.
And I've learned that, and I've also learned to be annoying as fuck, because if you don't keep talking about it, it won't happen.
Right.
And if you give up, it's just not there.
And dude, I mean, think what you want, but like, manifestation, like there's something to it, right? Like, I mean, you speak it into the universe, and I think I was listening to something Jim Carrey, like, I mean,
Yep.
dude,
yep.
he's
I know exactly what you're gonna
There was he was talking the other day. It's like, just speak it into the universe and then like let go, right?
Yep.
Like, don't try and control how what you want comes to you. Just allow the universe to bring it to you, and then it's gonna happen in some way that you probably don't expect it, but it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen as long as you keep as long as you keep it in the back of your mind and think like, okay, if I do this, will that get me one step closer? Yeah, okay, then let's do it.
Right.
And the Jim Carrey thing is the check.
Yeah.
Did you hear that story?
There's $1 million spoken into existence.
Yep. He's like, oh, I wrote myself a check for this much money for acting, and then literally the deadline hit.
Yeah.
And he had it.
Yeah.
He cashed it, and he was like, "Yep, that's it." And I'm like, "That's dope." And like when it comes to my show that I want to make, I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, I'm gonna somehow subtly sprinkle all these things that I've always talked about into that, and I don't know how it's gonna happen, but like throughout that filming journey, all these payoffs are gonna happen because I talk about way too much shit not to have them happen. Like, I want to swim with sharks. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, doable.
Right.
Like, very doable. I want to be in a cage, and I want to be like great white, like type shit. And like, once I get to California, once I get wherever there's sharks, I would start calling people, hey, I'm gonna film this, I'm gonna do this. I don't care how much it is really. Like, I'm gonna make it work.
Right.
It may not happen right now, but I'm gonna make it work. And like that payoff, once I do it, once I film it, it's just like, that's the move. That's the show. Like, you sitting here, you're gonna watch me tell you I'm gonna do something, and I don't know when. I can't promise you I'm gonna do it, but like it will eventually happen, and it's gonna be dope.
And that's that's the mindset that more people need to have, right? Like, you don't meet as many people with the mindset like that. I mean, I think a lot of people are focused on other external things that don't really matter.
No.
But one thing, like when I was, I was in California, or no, I was in Oregon, and like before I left for the trip, I said I wanted to surf. I wanted to surf at some point.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how I was gonna do it. I just went, and I got to Cannon Beach, Oregon, and it was, dude, this story is so cool how it all worked out. So I went to Cannon Beach. I got there late at night. And like it was like just before sun had just set. So it's starting to get dark, and like I walked down to the beach, and that's where that huge haystack rock is.
Yep.
So I went out there and was like checking it out, and then I walked back up, and I was like, this place is sweet, like and then I saw some people having fires on the beach, and I was like, hell yeah, like while I'm here, I'm gonna have a fire on the beach, like it's gonna happen. And then so I got back to my Jeep, I went, and there was like a parking lot in town that I like there's some other cars parked there, so I was like, they're probably sleeping here or something maybe, so I'm just gonna try it. I parked there, and like a couple hours later, like an hour later, cop pulls up. He's like, hey man, you can't park here, you can't stay here overnight. I was like, all right, no worries. Do you know where I can go? And he pointed me up the road a little bit, and there's a couple pullouts, so I went there. And so I stayed there that night. The next morning, I got up early, drove into Cannon Beach, stopped there, went to a parking lot. And my plan was just to go out to the beach and explore and stuff. And so I was going to do that, but then my phone was just about dead. So I was like,
risk it.
Man, do I want to go out there, or to like, you know, should I just like hang out here for a little bit, charge my phone, and then go? So I ended up doing that, and so while my phone was charging, I was cleaning out my Jeep and stuff, and I had my doors open. And when I pulled into this parking lot, it was empty, you know. And then, but you know, like half hour passes or like an hour passes or something, half hour, and it's completely filled. And the only open spot was the parking lot, or the space next to me, because my doors were open, and I was cleaning stuff out. And there was a guy that was driving by, you know, and he was a younger dude. He had a 4Runner, and you know, I could tell he was looking for a spot. So I like, you know, I was about done cleaning everything, so I looked at him and like waved him up, and I was like, you know, you want to park here? And so he pulls in, and he gets out and he starts talking to me. You know, we start talking about the build.
Yeah.
And he was actually living out of his vehicle as well.
Yeah.
He had a build.
Yeah. Yep.
And he's a big surfer. And so, you know, we get to talking and hit it off, and he's a really cool guy. I think he was from Idaho, and he was in Oregon just surfing. And the surf lifestyle is crazy, man. They just are out there every day surfing. Like they don't, you know, they don't do anything in the summer. They have seasonal jobs and they just work, and they just surf every day. But you know, at the end of our conversation, he's like, you know, what are you doing? And I'm like, I know nothing. I was just gonna come, you know, check out the beach. Yeah. He's like, well, if you want to just, you know, kick it with us for a little while, you know, we're going down there too, and then, you know, probably gonna go, like, so I think they were going surfing that day. And so I was like, cool. So we walked down there, met up with a couple of his other buddies. One of them was actually from Duluth, so like he had surfed, I think, a lot of the coastline of Lake Superior.
That's
so
dope.
Yeah, and so I was hanging out with all those guys, and then we ended up, you know, going. We went to the beach that they, you know, go and surf at. And I hung out with them for that day and the next day. I didn't surf the first day, but then he taught me how to surf the next day.
And you're like, yeah.
And I was like, this is so sweet. Like, you know, I didn't have any plans. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I wanted to do it.
Yep.
And, you know, just by, you know, happenstance, like, my phone happened to be dead when I pulled in that parking lot, and, like, you know.
Stuck you around there a little bit longer.
Yeah, and then he pulled up there and, you know, just started talking, and, like, you know, it's stuff like that where it's like, you don't know how it's going to happen, but if you know, you can speak things into existence.
If you put yourself
in
the opportunity, like, to have those experiences, they'll happen. You know what I'm saying?
And we had a fire on the beach that night too.
Yeah.
So it was like,
and you got you got all you wanted.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool, because usually when one thing happens, they'll all start happening. It's just a domino. It's just a domino. That's so dope.
Because it's getting yourself into that frequency, man, of like, you know, because, you know, you think about it, we're all energy, right?
Yep.
Like, everything is energy. And so you get yourself on that, you know, that energy level. And you start to align with other things that are, you know, in that same frequency. And then, like, that's when things that are meant to happen to you happen. Because you're, you know, you're in that frequency.
And if you're, you get that frequency higher and higher and higher, and you know, build that standard to where, like, this is the type of shit that happens to me.
Right.
And then it just keeps happening. Dude, that's so dope.
Yeah.
I want to surf too. When I was in California, I literally put one foot into the water, and while I saw people surfing, I was like, fuck that.
That's cool.
I was like, there ain't no way.
Yeah.
But, okay, so did he give you a wetsuit and everything?
I had to rent one.
You had to rent one? But does it help that much?
It does. Like, I had a full body wetsuit, and like, I was in the water, I couldn't feel anything. I took the booties off. Yeah. And like, I tried doing that like once without the booties, could not feel my feet. Like, they were numb within like 20 seconds. like they do something.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Were you good?
No, I was terrible. I didn't stand up once.
No, really?
I got up like a little bit for a couple seconds, but I mean, I was out there probably 4 hours, and that's all I got. So it was hard.
It is hard.
But
did you think it would just be like, I got long hair, I got this shit?
I don't know. I mean, like, I snowboard, and so I was like, maybe it's the same, but it's not the same.
No. That's dumb. See, modesty. Yeah, get yourself a little bit more modesty there. Because I feel like that's what I was thinking. I was like, if I do it, I'm gonna do it until I figure it out. Like, there ain't no way. If I do it once, I'm gonna stay there for a while and figure that shit out. And it was cool because when I was there was literally a short bus painted blue and nothing but wetsuit rentals on the inside and nothing but surfboards on the top. Yeah. And I'm like, that is a business model right there. Just post up and, hey, rent here.
Yeah.
Like let's go.
Yeah.
They have their website and everything. They'll just, you know, they put down the map wherever they're at and ready to go. Dude, that's so dope.
The surfing lifestyle is nuts though. Like, I mean,
the commitment.
They were out there every day. Like, there was the group that I was hanging out with, there was probably like 6 or 7 of them, and I think maybe 2 of them knew each other prior to being there, and then all the rest of them just kind of like met up randomly, I think.
Yeah.
But they they were out there every single day surfing. Like I think maybe a few of them had a job, but a lot of them I think just worked seasonally, and so they're out there every single day surfing. And I mean, just such a cool lifestyle, dude.
Yeah.
Like they're so laid back. Just love living life.
Yeah,
which
you
is,
can't really have problems if that's your life.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you're gonna go out there and you're gonna be like, yeah, we're chilling.
Yeah.
I met when I was on Venice Beach. I was walking up and down that. I was shooting hoops, and this Canadian came up to me, tall white dude, like 6'2". Me and him are sitting there shooting, and I was like sitting there talking like, hey, what do you do? Blah blah blah. So he was a pharmaceutical sales rep. So I was like, I looked at him, I was like, so you make bank? He's like, yeah, I'm kind of on vacation right now. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, we're chilling. So we're sitting there playing hoops, and like, look at that thing. Something you only see in Claire. No, so we're sitting there playing hoops, and literally like 10 minutes into it, the guy looks at me, and he's like, hey, you want to smoke a blunt? And I'm like, on Venice Beach? And fuck yeah. So we sit there, we smoke a blunt, some 2 dudes come up, they're like, hey, you want to play threes? And we're like, yeah, let's play threes. So we're playing threes. And by the end of it, there's like 10 people, like tourists, just watching us play. And we're sitting there just playing basketball on like the beach just to the left of us, the boardwalk with all these people are to the right of us, and I'm just sitting here playing basketball. And I'm like, this is dope. Like, this is so cool. And then we like switched to the big court so that we have even more people watching us. We're playing 5-on-5. I'm playing with these like grown-ass like Mexican dudes that are wearing just cargo shorts and like a button-up t-shirt, and they're saucing me. They're like doing these weird passes and everything. I'm like, who are you people? One dude I played against, and I thought I was like one of the better people there. I crossed, pickpocketed me, just like closed his eyes and just got rid of, like, I didn't even know what happened. And then next time I was kind of pissed. I was like, I don't think you should be able to do that. Try to do it again. Does it again. After I realized he's flying back to Detroit that night. I'm like, dude, I'm from Michigan. I was like, out of the 50 states you're from, that's awesome. And then he's like, yeah, I'm actually from Europe, and I used to play on the like 16U, like,
no shit.
I forgot what country he was playing for, but he played for his country. And I'm sitting there, I was like, okay, well, now I don't feel bad at all that you're ripping me. Like, good, like, you should. And but it was just so cool. I was like, you're going back to Detroit. I just met you, like, and he's dapping me up, and we're like, okay, well, I'll see you later. Maybe I'll see you in Detroit. And he's like, oh yeah. He was like, I mean, dude is massive. I was like, he's like 6'5". He's like, I played lineman. Like, when I moved to America, he's like, I played lineman for this high school and shit. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, that's so dope. I was like, you don't meet those people in any other circumstance.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Also, fair warning, I don't know if I've ever told this on a podcast. I feel like I have, but I'm going to tell it good now. And I know you haven't heard it. Google Maps. Okay, if you ever Google Map Venice Beach, okay, Google Maps will take you onto the boardwalk of Venice Beach. Fair warning, don't drive there. I drove there with that fucker, and it was like 1-lane road. Like, it's literally like that big.
Yeah.
And it's the buildings on your right, the sand to the beach on your left. And I'm driving through that going like 5 miles an hour, just chilling. I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to be here, but like eventually there's going to be a way out, you know? Like, and I don't want to back up because the thing's a pain in the ass. So I go to the end of it, and I'm waving at these shop owners and stuff, like whatever, like saying hi. And they're all looking at me like I'm weird, which understandable. I get to the end of the road, there's construction. There's like a 8-foot drop and just pipes. And I'm like, there's no way that this van, goes through here. So I have to back up like 400 yards. And I get my brother to get on one side so I don't hit anything on there. So he's walking on one, making sure I don't. And I'm like literally moving business signs on my left.
Yeah.
Holding the door open. So I hold the door open, and there's no space between us, like, for people to walk. And I'm like, when people walk, they have to move their heads so they don't get hit by the mirror. I shut it because I'm thinking in my head, I have to have space for people to get through. So I shut it. Right when I shut it, 3 people on bikes ride by.
Really?
And I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, perfect timing. Good thing I didn't hit them. Next thing I know, my brother's yelling at me. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, what's going on? He's like, dude, that was Arnold. Arnold Schwarzenegger literally rode his bike
Dude, what the fuck?
right next to me, and he has this big. He rides his bike on Venice Beach every day.
Does he really?
Yeah. So he's got this big like green puffer jacket. That. Oh yeah, you're good. Green puffer jacket. I Google on it, like just Google Arnold Schwarzenegger riding bike, green puffer jacket, identical. And I was like, when I saw
So
him,
when your brother said like that
when
was
he-
Arnold, did you look?
I literally
you saw
looked
him?
up, and I saw the back of him.
Okay.
But like literally just a massive dude on a bike with the green puffer jacket, and then I looked it up, and it was literally the same exact color, same exact
shit.
jacket. So
You said you almost hit him with your door.
yeah, if I wouldn't have shut my door, he would have went right into the van. So we were joking about. I joke with people all the time. I was like, I almost hit Arnold with my
Yeah.
bus, and I can't wait because like. Speak it into existence, dude. One day, if I ever met Arnold, I could be like, hey, dude, I don't know, kind of weird, but like, did you ever see a massive green bus while you were riding your bike one morning? And he'd be like, yeah, that guy's a fucking asshole. I'd be like, that was me. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be
Right.
awesome. Like, I would love to be able to have that story.
Good little icebreaker with Arnold.
Yeah, dude. Like, and then start the podcast. And be like, that's how we start the podcast. Like, okay, cool. Like, I almost hit you with my bus once, and he's like, oh, okay, cool. But
Dude.
just seeing that was nuts. And so back to the trip and like more of like a friends thing. I had 2 friends that I could stay with, one in Vegas, one in Phoenix. By far probably the best parts of the trip because I got to spend multiple days there
Right.
and like relax and know I have a place to park and everything. But like Vegas, dude, have you ever been to Vegas?
When I was younger, but not recently.
Not recently, not when you're old, obviously
No.
older. Bro, it is a trip.
Is it?
It is so weird. Like, okay, so we'll bring it back to this. Have you ever been to a bar in this area, and then you felt like uncomfortable because you're like, I don't know who to talk to, and I don't want to say the wrong thing? You get to Vegas, you have no fucks. Like, if this girl can wear a weed bikini and have a light up thing behind her, I can look like I look and do whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
can. There's no shame. There's no
Yeah.
like.
Just
to be
no
able to-
judgment out there.
There's
I mean,
no
like-
judgment, and like when you get into a big city like that, there's nothing. When we were in Los Angeles, my brother knew a guy in Los Angeles. He is like security for all these downtown clubs. So we got in all these clubs for free, and we're sitting there just walking around. It was Halloween. I'm wearing a Pornhub shirt because one of my buddies got it for me. And I'm wearing a Pornhub shirt, and I couldn't tell you how many people on the street were just screaming like, dude, where's the camera? Like, what's up? Like, just dapping me up and shit. They're like, that's the best costume I've ever seen. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, it's a Pornhub shirt. Like, that's the simplest shit. And they're sitting there just loving it. And I'm like, it was so cool. Like, in like a small town bars or like, I mean, even Wayside or stuff, like, you don't get that. People,
Yeah.
like, at least they've seen you enough to where they're like, ooh, I don't really want to talk to you, like, out of the blue because I'm going to see you again. You know what I mean? There, you don't care. And it's just like,
Yeah.
it was so cool to have that kind of like not care.
There's this just like a sense of like easeability, you know? It's
Yeah.
like it's just easy. Like no one knows you, like you're not staying here. Like
Yeah.
just do whatever you want.
Just do it. And like,
And if you could live your entire life in that kind of mindset, like dude, like think of how many people you meet or like how many different opportunities you'd have if you just lived every day like doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And like, business wise, imagine your conversion thing. Like, you meet someone like this, and you meet them, and like, not only are you good at conversions, and you see all these people with conversions, but now you're looking for it, and you're even better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, not only are you converting new people, but you can convert people that have already done it to be better.
Right.
And then you wouldn't get them, like, you wouldn't have them know that it could be better unless you sat down and talked to them and said,
Right.
hey, like, I do this for a living and this is cool, but if you did this, this, and this, now you got all that space that you were just talking about you didn't have enough stuff for.
Right.
Oh, you do? Oh, I know how to do that, and I could do that here or wherever you're at. Like, if you had even a mild tool setup in there.
Yeah.
Like, on top of your, like, just have a big old toolbox and be like, if you have enough space and I know where a Menards is, we can make this happen.
Right.
And like, you could do that. That would be
Yeah.
that would be so dope.
Because I did mine, I used like a jigsaw, a circular saw, a table saw, Then I had a couple like sawhorses, and like that's it. I mean, so like, dude, you would be if you had a box on top of the Jeep or something like that, you would totally be able to do something remote.
In a situation to where all then you would need is space.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
if you haven't figured out how to find space living in a Jeep, I mean, you're already fucked.
Right.
Like you already, yeah.
Yo,
So
question: are you ever thinking about putting solar in your bus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because that's the problem with the generator.
Yeah.
Because I have to turn it on. I don't like turning it on.
Right.
And like, computer-wise, let alone podcast-wise, you're not going to run a generator while you have a podcast.
Yep.
That would just be stupid.
Right.
So I need that. I was actually, I don't know when I'm going to do it. Well, obviously when I have the money, but it's going to be the front end. It's going to be, hopefully I can fit like 2 or 3 solar panels up there.
Yep.
And then the back end, there's some metal beams here to where I might be able to do like a 4 foot deep and however wide the van is, like deck.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah. So if I got the little deck up top and then I'd have the stage down below,
Yeah.
man, I tell you what. And then there's also, I don't know how I would do it too. And this is once again, I'm going to be honest, the only way any of this happens is if I meet people that know how to do it. Because A, I don't know if I'm willing to risk this big of a job to me doing it. And B, like, I'll definitely be a laborer. Like, if you need me, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you need me to be a laborer and I find a friend that knows how to do this, hands down, I'll buy a couple cases of beer and we'll make this happen. And whatever. But that's how it's going to happen. That's also the big thing I like about the van conversion, too, because you meet people and you can do that.
Yeah.
But no, the deck would be dope because, like, if I did have like a little guard up there, like if like same thing, if I had like a musicians, bands or something, like the singer could be up there, the band could be down, or the comedian could be up there, and all I need to do is get a ladder on the side. It would have to be on this left side here, because I got too much stuff on the other sides. But get a ladder up there and go.
Yeah.
It'd be so dope.
See, the cool thing is like, like you have the bus, right? Like that's the big thing, and you have it. So and now it's just like a blank canvas, You can do whatever you want with it. You can come up with all these crazy ideas and just put them into action. And
and it's nuts because these crazy ideas, it's so, just like I said from before, the ideas have only gotten crazier, but now people believe me more.
Exactly.
So like, yeah, like I said, having a deck with a stage and a van where I pull up and I do comedy shows, that sounds so freaking stupid or just weird, like let alone. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, yeah, but how cool would that be? You know,
like if you have the vision, like it doesn't matter if anybody else believes it or like can see it. If you have the vision, like, I mean, there, no matter what you are interested in, like somebody else out there is interested in it as well. So like, if you can see it, you can make it happen. Then it's just about finding the right community or the right people
to make it happen. Yeah. And then the big dream too would be like, what if the venue became a big enough thing where I had like Bert Kreischer or like Bill Murray, Joe Rogan, like I pulled up in Austin. I was like, hey, like maybe this could happen, and then all of it happens, because that would be like weirder things have happened when Bert Kreischer, he went to all outside shows during COVID. What's the difference?
Right.
You can do a little bit. So, I mean, people like comedians do small shows all the time. Like if it's like, and I don't know about you when it comes to like TikTok and Instagram, if you get sucked into that shit, but I'll start swiping through and I'll have comedians pop up all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, they always joke about how small the room is and how blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, if it's outside, none of those restrictions are there.
Right.
And if you're high enough, just like they're on a stage, you don't have to be much higher than the people.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think the setting is available and it's doable. It's just, can I make it happen? But that's how it always is, so you just got to talk about it enough.
Exactly.
And it'll get there. But I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Dude, it's cool. It's cool talking with you because, I mean, you have, obviously big ideas. And, like, that's what's so cool, though, is, like, you need to have these big ideas or else, I mean, nothing's going to happen.
Well, and if you don't have big enough ideas, there's nothing big enough to make you do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if I was just going to live in this van, just live in it and not think of anything else, like, what's the fucking point?
Right.
Like I can live in a house. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's gotta be more to it. Like if I'm gonna live in the van, I'm gonna make it a thing. Like I'm not gonna just I don't know. You gotta make it your own, obviously. And dude, get lights. I can get lights on this shit. And like speakers out the back.
Yeah.
Like I could make it, and I have my computer set up on the inside to where I could have a guy roll that window down,
control all that stuff,
and he could control everything.
Yeah.
And you would never see him. It would literally be like movie magic. It would be so cool. And I have, so my brother, super big into computers. One of his best friends can literally build me a computer. He'll give me a list. Buy that, build the computer, put it in there, donezo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, once again, friends, like, building a computer isn't that big of a deal, but guess what? I don't know how to fucking do it.
Right.
So I need someone to.
Yeah.
And that's awesome, like, that people are willing to be, oh, dude, I've built 15 of those. I can do that in 10 minutes. You buy the parts. I'm like, okay, see ya. Like, I'll tell you when I got them. And it's just like, that's so easy. Like, yeah. And, like, the paint job on it, Kevin Smith paints. My dad knows him. He's like, you pay for the paint and you give me a place to paint it in.
Yeah.
Done. And I'm sitting there and he's like, you come help me tape it off. We literally came in there's a weekend. We did that in a weekend. You just tape everything off, paint the gray, wait till it dried, taped everything off, paint the green, done. I got to spray paint the top because the guy didn't want to obviously stand up there because it's sketchy. So he's like, hey, here's the gun. Go stand up there, do this motion. See ya.
What color was it when you got it?
White.
It was all white.
All white.
Shit.
And it was just, and like you could literally see the I own you dial-a-ride lettering that was peeled off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude.
I was wondering if it looked like this when you got it or not, but that's so cool that you did it. You really know that you
the painting, yeah.
Yeah, the painting,
yeah. The inside we painted too, but like all that wood paneling and stuff that was already there.
Well, I mean, like that, the exterior painting. That's like that's like an expensive thing, and it's hard.
Yeah.
And like
it was a good, like, I think it was like $1,200, $1,500. I mean, that's just for the paint,
right?
Because obviously we didn't we obviously paid the guy a little bit, but like not as much as you would have paid a professional to do. I mean, he is a professional too, but
like somebody you don't know.
Yeah, someone you don't know. But no, it was in like. I was telling my dad, I was like, we all know that this looks shitty white. Like it's just boring. It's not there, and And then we were talking about it. If we would have had my way, it would have been horrible. Hindsight, it would have been green and like a burnt orange. It would have been
same
bright.
design with the.
There would have been some sort of cut different. I don't know if that's the one we would have went with the orange. We would have went with a little less,
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's what we came up with with the gray and green.
I like it, man. It looks so good. I was when I first drove up, I was like, because I mean I've only seen it a few times. I think like. I don't know.
On pictures?
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't post that much, which needs to change, obviously, but...
Because I remember, like, when you were on your trip, I remember you sending me stuff, and, like, I was like, damn, that looks so good. But then now actually seeing it in person, I'm like...
Yeah.
Shit, man.
It
looks good.
There.
It looks good.
There. It's like the possibilities are there.
Yeah. No, I like it.
And, dude, another thing I gotta change, and it's... main reason, I just like telling people, but the awning, it was a horse trailer, like I told you. There's literally, it's gray with just nothing but horses running across it. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, that is so lame, and I can't wait to change it.
Gives it character.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Not the character I want to have. Different kind of character,
yeah. Right.
But it's a thing, man. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And like filming, so the and you're big into camera stuff, so we're good on this. I want to make a show, and it's gonna be called Go While You Can. So it's going to be, it'll be me, obviously, going while I can, doing what I can, and then I'll meet other people that, by sheer the fact of me doing this, I'll meet these people, but like, meet other people that did a similar thing. Right. And it wouldn't be even the van, it would just be people that traveled to go risk something and do it.
Right.
That's it. Go while you can. And that's what I pitched to the guy on the last podcast, and he straight up said, he's like, that could literally be right out of one of our commercials. Huh. He's like, that's exactly what we do. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, as long as you're on board with this, I'm on board with this, because I think that would be amazing.
That's a great idea, man. I mean, and I love that, that's why I love to travel, right? Is like, I think, so many people, they wait until. I mean, it's hard too because you start having a family, you start having kids, and things lock you down, and you can't do it.
Exactly.
And then when's the next chance you're gonna be able to do something for yourself that you really enjoy? Not until you retire, and then by that time, I mean,
your values changed by then.
Yeah, or your body hurts, and like you can't do these hikes and stuff. If that's what you like doing. Yeah. And so like, I mean, you gotta live while you're young. Like it doesn't matter. I would rather invest all of my money into experiences, in the next 5-10 years, and have less when I'm 65.
Fuck yeah.
Than have more then and less experiences now. Like, like I know I'm fit. I know I'm able to do these things now. So like,
why not do them?
Yeah. And they'll lead to good stories later on.
Exactly. And also, not even stories, but you don't know what could happen now compared to if you did that 9 to 5 that you settled for, whatever. I don't know, dude. It's so easy to make that decision in our heads, obviously. And it's really easy for me to podcast with people because most people I podcast have that same vision. But it's really weird when you meet someone and they're like, yeah, this is what I do, and I'm just like doing it. Like, I can't wait till I can retire. And I'm like, you can't wait till you can retire? Like, that's fucking 40 years away, 50 years away. You can't, like, that's like, there's no payoff there. That's I don't know. Yeah. My payoffs are like 5-year increments. Yeah. Like, if I'm not changing a lot in 5 years, it's going to be weird. Yeah. It's going to be weird.
I know. I mean, just like, man, like think about, if you allow, if you open yourself to the universe, right? Right now, you're 25-year-old, like your life is going to, go in so many different directions than you would ever expect it to if you, open yourself to the universe when you're 65. Yeah. Like,
don't try to control it.
Yeah, exactly. Just let it happen. And, like you're meant to have the experiences that you're meant to have. So, like what's right for you, like it will always be right for you. Yeah. And so, don't control it. Allow it to happen, and like you will have these amazing experiences that are just for you.
And that's what makes it worth it, obviously.
Exactly. It's the point of living.
So fucking nice. So what else? So you kind of told me your short term, and you might not have a long term if I just said that I do my shit in 5 years, but like long term, like what would, the business, that being the business, or like.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I haven't thought about it much. I mean, lately, so the last couple months or so, I've really just been focused on staying consistent with what I'm doing. Yep. Yeah. And the last couple of years, the last year or so, like since I've gotten back from traveling, my mindset hasn't really been the best. I haven't been working out much. I haven't been doing these things for myself that I know I need to do to make me a better person. Yep. And so in the last couple months, like I've really been focusing on reading more, trying to be off my phone, trying to be off my phone more, going to the gym, getting up early, taking cold showers, meditating, like these things that like I know will help me in the long run, but I'm just focusing on doing being consistent with them every day. Yeah. Or at least as often as I can.
Multiple. Yeah. I went through the same. I'm still going through the same phase. So reading is easy. That I can find time to read now. It's super. It's nice. I have a library shelf in there that I have books in there that I buy on the sheer fact that someone will post it on Instagram that I know, and I'm like, I like that person, and I know why he's reading it, so fuck it, Amazon, order, done. So it's I have 3 or 4 friends that I literally just screenshot their shit, and it's just like, okay, that's the next book on the list, and it's so easy. Meditation is a little bit harder. I don't do that as often. I wish I did. It's pretty. I've done it a couple times, and I've had some pretty weird experiences with it. Honestly, really, to where it was like, oh shit, like you open your eyes or you come back from it, and you're like, holy, like you're ready, everything is gone, like everything is good, like you don't need whatever just happened, and it's weird to feel better. You do nothing. Oh, how simple.
You just sit with yourself, man. You just you just sit with yourself. Yeah. And by doing so, you can really calm a lot of anxieties. You can calm your mind. Yeah. And I know it's unreal how powerful I think meditation is. I need to when I say I'm trying to be more consistent with it, I normally try and do 10 to 15 minutes before bed.
Yep.
It makes me sleep so much better.
Yeah.
Like one, I think just being off your phone and not having that screen time for a little bit.
And also calming your mind. Calming your mind, because obviously, I tell you what, I figured it out when I was a kid, kind of, but like I can sleep like butter. Like I could walk in there and be done.
Yeah.
And really, I think the main reason I can do that is because you think in your head, like, all these things you're thinking about, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I want to sleep. Think sleep. Think black. Think nothing.
Right.
And then you're just... And then that's it. And then you're there. And then just nothing happens. And so, I don't know. It's a form of meditation, in my opinion, to get to that point.
Right.
But I think that is literally the only consistent meditation that I do, because I can knock myself out. It is so nice. What else? Cold showers. Okay, we talked about that.
Big. I think I'm a big proponent of cold showers. I've been doing cold showers since middle of February, almost every day. And I kind of started with the Wim Hof method.
Yep.
Which, so he says, it doesn't matter if you don't need to be. He's basically just saying, do a cold shower at the end of your warm shower. Like, take a normal shower and then turn the dial, cold as you can take it, for the first week. Do like 15 to 30 seconds. Like, he's like, anybody can do 15 to 30 seconds after taking a
you just deal with
10-minute long warm hot shower, like warming your body. But then so you do 10 to 15 seconds for that first week, and then or 15 to 30 seconds after that first week, and then then you bump it up every like 30 seconds each week after that. And so I did that, and now I'm up to like 5 minutes consistently. And it feels like, it's so cool, because it's a form of meditation, I think, because when I'm in the cold shower, I take my normal hot shower, do everything that I'm doing, and then I crank it all the way as cold as it goes, pretty much. Get my head and neck wet first.
Yep.
And because
the
that's
back
supposed
or front?
Normally like front.
Right at you. Okay.
So let it hit me, and you have that gasp first.
Yep.
But it's so, because you're trying to control your mind. It's something that's discomforting, and it's not something that's easy.
No.
But I think that's why you need to do it, is because growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone, right?
Yep.
It's a pretty cheesy thing to say, but it's true. And so doing things that cause you discomfort, that's where you can that's where you find the things that are meaningful in life is from discomfort. And so you're trying to rewire your mind, like you're trying to tell yourself like I know you hate this, I know you don't like this, but you're gonna do it, and because that the benefits are gonna be good. And so it hits you have that gasp, but then over time you're able to control that gasp. And now once it hits me, I can just think about it, and slow my breathing, and I don't feel the cold.
Yeah.
And so I let it hit me, and then I step into it and get my front, get my side, and then I kind of do a 360 to get everything, and then I normally let it hit my front left shoulder and kind of let water go everywhere, and then I spin, do the other side, then do my back, and then do my front, and that's normally about 5 minutes. And normally about once you start doing that for that long, once you get to about 3 minutes is when you stop feeling the cold, at all, and then it just feels like.
Then it just feels like a shower.
Yeah.
See, I haven't gotten to that point.
Yeah.
Sure. No.
But I was telling so I use it as a form of meditation. So, when I'm in there, I have my eyes shut and I'm focusing on my breathing.
Yep.
So then you're blocking out all the other discomfort and you're just focusing on your breathing.
Isn't it nuts how the instant you slip up a little bit, your breathing immediately goes back to, and then all of a sudden you're thinking about something, you're breathing heavy, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm breathing heavy. Why am I doing that? Oh, it's because I'm thinking of this.
Yeah.
Let's not think of this. And then you have that self
self-correction.
Yeah, you figure it out. You're like, oh, okay, that's why I'm fucking up right now.
And that's how you rewire your brain, right?
Yeah.
And it's the thing that I love about it, it's just a shower, it's nothing
water.
major, but
it's not gonna hurt.
But it it's not just telling yourself to brave the cold, but that will help you with other aspects of your life. When you receive bad news or you have anxiety, returning to your breath.
The water just hit you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so just return to your breath, and it's rewiring your brain. It's giving you something to focus on that, when something major happens in your life, then, you know how to deal with it.
Okay. I have this, dude. another thing you used to do all the time when on that original trip is you would just fucking drop into like lakes and like cold lakes.
Yeah.
And you would just boom, arms open and just drop in.
I think like that trip was a really like awakening for me.
Yep.
And I think it was like it had a lot to do with cold exposure without even me knowing it. Because now knowing that like the benefits of cold exposure,
Yeah.
I was doing that on that trip. Like I would have showers with either jumping in lakes or rivers or just like a water jug.
Yeah.
And it was cold water normally. Like I very very rarely had a warm shower.
Not because you wanted to, but because
Yeah,
of
exactly.
necessity. Yeah.
And so like I was having cold exposure during that trip, and I know I had a lot of really cool experiences internally.
Yeah.
And I think probably a little bit because of that.
Yeah.
But
So during that, I was going through this little phase where I was like thinking of like short video ideas. Okay. So one of them, I forgot which one it was exactly, but I forgot what the idea was. I think it was perseverance or something, but I had this whole shot list, and it was at my, it was mainly just going to be cold, and it was going to be at a river. And the shot list was like me walking down the river, and the path. It was going to be obviously narrated to be like, you're on your journey, blah blah blah. Shit's gonna go wrong, but are you going to be prepared for it? Whatever.
Right.
And then I was going to have like the slow motion shot of like me and you, visibly, like you would know that this river's cold because I was going to do it like right before winter, like snow on the ground and shit. So it was like you'd know, and then all of a sudden, like halfway through me walking through this thing talking about all this shit, I was going to just start like ripping clothes off, just slowly, like one thing at a time. Clothes was going to come off, and then all of a sudden I'd set up all my cameras, and then it would just be, I was going to have the drone above me, I was going to have my camera in front of me, and then the GoPro like with me. So then I do the GoPro a couple times before. So I was also preparing myself to jump into this thing like 4 or 5 times. So I was like, that's why it hasn't happened yet. But you get the GoPro shot, you get the drone shot, and it was going to be that slow motion just falling into the water. And then like obviously the drone and the other camera are going to be up when you come up, and they're going to get that look. And that's going to be the whole, that's going to be the whole, like breathing and getting, dealing with all that bullshit, and then just coming out of it like, it's just water, bro. You're good. Like, go get a towel. You're fine. Like, in today's day and age, like, this isn't a problem anymore. Like, yeah, cavemen and stuff, they couldn't do that. But, like, now we're good.
Comfort is so easy to us now, and like that's never been the case before in any part of history.
Yes.
Other than the past, whatever, like 50 years. I mean, my dad, he grew up without a bathroom in his house, and like so, like they took cold showers all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, like, or not showers, but like they'd wash up with like tubs and stuff.
Yeah.
And so like and he's only one generation above me, and that's his
the difference. Yeah.
And so like comfort has become so easy to us that I think we miss out on a lot of things that really help us grow as people.
Yeah. That discomfort, you don't get better without discomfort thing is so simple, but kind of like, holy shit. Like you literally like, and it's, if you think about it at the minute levels, like think about what's one thing that people want to do but can't. And I got one in my head if you can't think of one. Simple, like literally everyday shit. People that like, I can't do this because I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough of this, I don't have enough of that. So like, dieting. If you think about it in those words that you just put, discomfort is what makes you better. If you can't go with your stomach growling, what kind of discomfort can you fucking handle?
Right.
And I'm saying this about myself because my stomach grumbled a bit ago, and I was like, oh, dude, it would be nice to eat right now, but obviously I'm not going to do that because I can deal with, like, that's not hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can go without eating for a little bit for this experience.
Right.
But any other time when I'm not having an experience, I can go get some food, and I can do that.
Right.
And that's the fact of, like, you can't. I mean, me personally, you can't go without the discomfort. You can't go without the comfort.
It's not being a slave to your mind. You know? Like it's having control over your mind, and then therefore having control over everything else in your life. Yeah. Because I mean that's where it starts. And so if you can't overcome what your mind's telling you that you want, then things are gonna be hard for you. But
that's. Yeah. Isn't it it's so stupid how simple shit is when you really think about it. And then it's like, speaking of that, I asked one of my buddies the other day, I was like, I want to dunk. I want to learn how to dunk. And I asked him, I was like, how did you get to dunk? He's like, I dunked on 8-foot rims, I dunked on 9-foot rims, and I dunked on 10-foot rims. And I looked at him, I was like, that is the stupidest, simplest answer that means literally, and like that's the most correct answer. Like, what else could you possibly say there? Like, how did you get to dunk? Oh, I dunked on lower shit.
Right.
Oh my
Because
God.
everybody wants the immediate gratification of being able to do what they want to do right now.
Yeah.
But like, and here's another thing that I kind of been trying to live by. Like I was telling you earlier, consistency. So I don't want to have long-term goals because I want to be focused. I want to be relentlessly focused on being consistent with what I'm doing.
The now.
Yeah. So like, I don't want to try and lose 10 pounds by in 3 months from now or whatever. I don't want to like lose 10 pounds in a month. Like, I just want to go to the gym every day and be consistent with my going to the gym every day. I want to be consistent with taking a shower every day. I want to be consistent with doing these things that I know will provide me benefit in the future. But I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to think about
doing the actions.
Doing it. Because if you can fall in love with the journey, if you can conquer the journey, then the destination is going to be easy. It's going to come. But
and you also then you don't have to worry about. I don't know how I want to say it. Not when it's going to come. Because it's good. Like, it's going to come.
Right.
You don't know when, but you know it's gonna. You know what I mean? You can have that in the back of your head, like, okay. And then you also, in that process, you get more of a realization of how long does it really take to get shit done.
Right.
Because then that whole instant gratification goes right out the window because you're like, oh, I mean, I didn't get good at cold showers fucking day one. Right. It took me 2 or 3 months. Why would I ever expect that this other shit's gonna happen that fast? Right. You know what I mean? Like, and this shit is supposedly in my head bigger. You know what I mean? Like living in a van, having comedy, doing whatever. That's way bigger than me going to the gym. So if I can't go to the gym every day, that shit's never gonna happen. Right. You know what I mean? That's exactly what.
So you got to conquer those small things, and then that's gonna.
And then it builds up. Exactly. Well, then your resilience, like, you go through a day, like. I got people. Obviously I work at Dunham's. I work with a bunch of college kids. All these college kids, and I was in the same boat too, but like, I don't want to go to work because I have schoolwork to do. And it's like, I understand that, but I also understand that other people in the world have worked 60-hour jobs and pulled in 2 degrees. Right. You're worried about 20 and 1 degree. Right. Like, yeah, I get it. You're at the point where you think that's what you have to do, but have you ever pushed yourself to the point where you think, like, have you ever tried to do that? And it's like, we got some people there that, it's arranged. Like, the managers obviously are the ones that can do those. I got college managers that are working. They work an internship. They have 3 or 4 classes, and then they come work 40 hours for me. And it's like, oh my God, I can trust that person to do their 40 hours worth of work because they're doing all this other crap in any given day. So it's like, oh, this is easy for them. So it's just being able to build that up and have that resilience, and you don't do it unless you do it every day, like you said. Right.
Yeah. Like your buddy, dunking. Like, obviously he wants to dunk, right? Yeah. But don't worry about, like if you can conquer the small things and that big thing that you want to do is going to come. Yeah. But, you got to conquer the 8-foot rim first. You got to conquer the 9-foot rim next. And then you're going to get there.
Yeah, the 9.6, the 9.10, like it just gets shorter and shorter and you still got to keep grinding it. Right. That's dope. So fitness-wise, have you been getting back in the gym too, or?
Yep. So I started going. I normally get up around like 5 o'clock in the morning or so. And go to the gym before work.
Clutch, same thing.
Yep. Yeah. And there's something about I've never been a morning person. Never ever been a morning person. But until these past few months where it's like I told myself I'm going to do it. Yeah. And there's been obviously times in my life where I'm like I'm going to do this and it doesn't stick. This time it stuck, and don't know why that is, but it happened.
In the and no justification, just I don't know, it just fucking works. No, I'll tell you why. At least why it works for me. Morning means you do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Later means there's options. Right. And that will completely ruin it. Right. And like after work. What do you want to do more after work than anything? You don't want to do shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? And like, unless you have that drive, the only time that's really useful for me is I don't feel like doing shit, but I'm still hell-bent on being in a gym for more than an hour a day.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I can go do that, have a shitty-ass workout, but I still feel better than if I didn't have a shitty-ass workout.
Right. Because you're still doing it. Like,
once you have that realization
Yeah.
that a shitty workout's better than no workout,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Right.
It's so much easier. It's so much easier. And then the consistency is just, it's butter.
Yeah. Because that goes hand in hand, you know, like, you're going to have bad days, but, you know, just think about, like, you know, it doesn't matter if you're, you know, you're hitting your max every single day. Like, just do the thing every day.
Yeah, just do it.
And then,
yeah.
you're like, you know, you'll have some good days, you'll have some bad days. I think that's a big thing, too, is, like, you know, life is just full of highs and lows, right?
Yep.
And you just got to ride them out. You know,
Yep.
like, you got to stick with the, you know, take the middle path, you know, don't get too over, you know,
Yep. Don't
zealous,
get too
whatever,
high.
when you have those highs, but then don't get too depressed when you have those lows, because
Yeah.
you know that there's going to be, you know, another high.
Yep.
There's going to be another low. And it's the same with anything, and, you know, just like, you know, working out, and, you know, you're going to have some days that you're hitting your max, you're making PRs, but
Yeah.
then you have, you know, other days where it's like you just feel like shit.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to be here, I'm going to stretch, and then I'm going to get through that little stretch, and I'm going to be like, fuck this, I'm out.
Mhm.
And it's just like, at least I stretched.
Yeah.
You know?
Still
at least,
did it. Yeah,
at least
still
I
did
did
it.
something. Like,
Yeah.
my body feels slightly better.
Right.
I had a couple cracks in the spine, you know, it felt good. But, yeah, dude, that's, working out has been,
Yeah.
it's been so, like, life-changing for me. Obviously, just the getting out of high school, because obviously you saw me in high school, bro.
Mhm.
Like, that, the main reason I looked up to you is the fact that you could hit puberty before high school ended. You were 6'2", like 180. Like, I was like, damn, I wish I could see over the line. Like, that's such a perk. And I'm out here doing that. And I'll tell this, I don't know if I ever told this on a podcast, but I just love telling the story. And it's super embarrassing. I went to a doctor my junior year, and I got my hand x-rayed to see what the bone density of it was. I was 16 going on 17,
Yeah.
12-year-old.
Really?
My bone density was that of a 12-year-old.
That's
I
so
was
crazy.
playing varsity sports
Yeah.
as a 12-year-old. And I the fact that I can say that now is so happily
Yeah.
is that, guess what, motherfuckers? I actually played.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I started at quarterback my senior year. Basketball, I was actually on the court with a very good team. And I didn't play baseball, but main reason I didn't play baseball is because I couldn't throw down to second anymore. But still, like, I played sports and I was good.
Yeah.
And I was still making a difference. And the only way I did that was thinking, what can I do with what I have, obviously. And it worked.
Yeah.
And it was
It's because you had a different mindset.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
you
the mindset is like
Is
the
everything.
mindset's a
Yeah.
thing. You know.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to conquer,
nice.
if you want to conquer something in your life, it starts with your head. you
Yeah.
know?
Because there's always some way to do it. Like,
Yeah.
basketball, short people have been good at basketball. Like, there's no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, playing with, obviously, Roy and all them, like, there's no excuse. You'll get reamed just for the same. Like, if you block out, you don't have to be tall. Whoa, like, that's mind-altering. And, like, as a kid, that consistency then of, ooh, if I don't block out, there's no way in fuck I get this. But if I do, there's a smaller chance I do. Like, there's a little bit bigger chance I do. And it's just like, yeah, I probably should do that then. Like, there's no question
Right.
to do it. It's just like, oh, I want to be better today. I probably should go read 10 pages or something. Or I should probably eat some eggs and not that donut.
Right.
Like, it's so easy to make decisions like that now
Yeah.
in hindsight. And also saying that, there's also decisions that I still need to make and still need to do better at, because there's always, I mean, no one's perfect. You're not gonna.
Right.
You're
There's always room for growth.
Oh, there's always
Yeah.
there's always room for growth. Because there's another thing. I think it was like Logan Paul, but they were talking about, if you're one of the people that can make, the average person makes around like 60 to 70 right, like, the decisions. They make the right decisions 60 to 70% of the time. Guess what? If you're one of those people that make 80% of your decisions right, you know how much shit is going to go right for you?
Right.
Like, that 10% is astronomical on how far it could go. And then just imagine, what if you're 90? What if you're 99? What if you, like, yeah, it's super hard to be 99. Like, if you're Elon Musk or something, like, you're doing those and you're not having as much fun. Like, there's obviously sacrifices to being that right. But if you can do it, you can do it. And
Right.
like that's going to put you in the positions that you want to be in.
Right. It's because those last 10% of those decisions, like those are the things that are hardest.
Yeah.
Like the things that people are doing right are the easy things.
Yep.
So those additional things you got to work on, like those are the hard things, and those are the areas where that are discomfort.
Yeah.
And those are the things that you got to conquer. You got to find a way
to get yeah, dude. That's also why I like doing these podcasts, because you having like-minded people, it also like spurs that to the next day. It's like, I just had this conversation with this dude. There's no way in fuck I can say all this shit on a podcast and not do it tomorrow. You know what I mean? At least,
right.
at least
you're taking that cold shower.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, every morning.
Yeah.
Fucking honestly, yeah. You can't. I get out of the gym immediately. Like I don't even. I turn. I don't do the thing that like you do, where it's warm and then cold. I put that fucker straight in, and I don't even close my eyes now. I'm so like used to the decision of, people like, oh, I'll get a little bit of my shoulder. No, you don't do that, because you're gonna be a pussy and not do it. Boom, in. You take that gasp and you're good. You're done.
Right.
Like you're already in. Don't bitch out now.
Yeah.
Like.
Because it's that first, contact that's the hardest, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, once you do that, once you get through that, then, the rest is easy. Like, you're in it. Like, you're not going to get back out just because, now that you've already started it.
And it sucks, yeah. Like, just because it sucks a little bit doesn't mean it's going to suck later.
Right.
And it's crazy that, like, if you just picture that in life terms, not in a shower.
Right.
Yeah. Like, oh, I'm here doing this work. I'm already here. You might as well just do it. You know what I mean? Like that was one weird thing that it came back to like work. Because when I quit Dunham's to go on that trip, because I knew like they're not going to give me 3 weeks of vacation. Like like they probably could have, and I just come back whatever. But like I wanted the vacation time that I had. I wanted paid whatever.
Right.
So I did that, and then before I left, I was the manager that was like, this dude is going to get the bare minimum done. He's going to make sure the store runs. Nothing bad's going to happen. But, like, I wasn't, like, top tier. I wasn't trying hard. I wasn't doing what I knew I could do for the store.
Right.
And I was like, I'm out. Like, I don't plan on coming back. Like, we're good. Turns out I came back and immediately took an assistant position. And then immediately from taking that position, my boss told me, hey, I'm going to this other store. You're gonna take over this one, and if you're good, like you'll be the GM here in like a couple months. I was there for a week. And then he bounced. He went right. The guy above us sent him back to the other store because it was doing so bad, and he's like, "Hey Nate, run this store for all of December. The biggest month of the year."
Right.
I did $50,000 in sales one day with short staff. And I'm sitting there, and Will was there that day, my boss, and I'm sitting there, he's like, oh my God, Nate, like he's like, we're doing so good and all this stuff, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing GM-wise. You know what I mean? I'm literally just doing what I did before, and all the stuff that he, like, all the little things that my boss had told me before, just do the little things. I'm sitting there, I'm just literally, that's all I'm doing. And then I ended up being a GM of Dunham's. And I was like, this is, and like you said, opportunities. Like, I never looked for that. I actually actively slowed that down. I purposefully didn't take the assistant like two times.
Right.
And I was like, I do not want to get stuck here. I do not want to do that. And then all of a sudden, this van comes in my life, and I'm like, how do I get this van to where I want it to be in 4 years? Okay.
Because now you have a purpose behind what
I have
you're
a
doing.
purpose behind what I'm doing. Yeah, exactly. So now I'm sitting there. I can go to work every day and be like, let's get some shit done, because I know that this is what is going to be the reason that I can do that. So then it's easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy. I can go to work every day and just be like, okay, like I don't feel bad. Like I have my bad days, you have your good days. Like I have my days where I feel better than others.
Right.
But like, guess what? I can still go in and get a little bit of, like, make 1% progress, because that's all that's necessary. As long as you do it every day.
Exactly, man.
It's fucking wild.
Yeah. It's having that bigger purpose, right? And like, I don't know what it is, but there's something about, the van life, right? And like the bus life that is so appealing, and like it has such a draw to so many, people like you and me. And like if I know, like at the end, that like that is what I'm going to be doing, or like that's what I want to be doing, like I could probably do just about anything to get there, and like I know that I want to be, traveling. I know that, like living an alternative lifestyle, like, and honestly right now it's, in my Jeep, but like down the road, like having a tiny home or
whatever it may
anything.
be. But like, travel is the exactly. Yeah.
So like, and just like having like an alternative lifestyle, I think that's so cool, right? Like I think that people have gotten so used to this, like, that the science of living, of just like, you forced to go to school, and then you're expected to go to college, kind of, and then you go to college.
The model.
Yeah. You get out, you meet somebody, you have kids, you have family, you work at, a job, retire, die. It's like, I don't know, man, that just seems so like unfulfilling and like
lame.
Not why we're here.
No.
Like there's such a bigger purpose to being here, and it's not that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy that like we're 100% on the fact that we know it's not that.
Yeah.
And it's also horrible when other people, especially people that and like you like, when they're like, no, you're wrong. Like this is how you do it. And I'm like, cool. All I know, that's all I need to know, really. Like, I can still, like, enjoy those people, but, like, I don't know. It's easy to say, you're wrong now. Mm-hmm. Like, that's fine, you're wrong. I'm not that I'm saying I'm right, but in my mind, that is right. It's just how it is. Mm-hmm. And, no, I just like having the mindset. It's all about the mindset, and it's just, once you get it, it's kind of hard to get rid of, too, because it's going to be in the back of your head. If you do that 9 to 5 and you end up when you're 65, guess what? It's still in the back of your head.
Right. Yep.
And you can't, at that point, like you said, you can't really... I wouldn't want to live with myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to... Like, I would have to be so hell-bent when I'm 65.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd have to be fucking ready. Like, I'd have to go.
And it's so different for... it's different for different people.
Yeah.
Some people can, like... I think, if you're a person that has that, desire, or like, it's like I think I said it like it's like an itch, right? Like it's something that, it's like an itch that needs to be scratched.
Yeah.
Like, and I think, for us, I know for me, that trip was like a huge, like that was the beginning of like this next chapter of my life, because now I felt like I have some kind of purpose, and like I know that there's something bigger out there than me.
Yeah.
And there's like, there's something I wanna like explore more. And it's not just traveling to see different things, but it's like I want to explore internally, I found I've gotten into spirituality lately. Yeah. And like that's just been unreal. And like I think, it's part of the meditation, just like, getting into, discovering who I am. That I think that is kind of like where my journey is going to lead to, is more a journey of self-discovery, more so than any kind of like just traveling to see different things.
Yeah.
And so like that was kind of like the start for me. And I don't know, man, like it's like now that I know like that experience is out there, like, and it can be found. Yeah. It can be found by anybody. And like, it's the experience is joy. Like it's pure, unadulterated, it's
happiness,
joy. Yeah. And it's something that comes from within. It's not, you're not relying on any other person or any material thing. Like it's literally just you and nature, and like it comes from within. Like you become joy. And there was a few times on that trip where like I literally, like, I would cry because of how like in that moment I was so like free.
Yeah.
And it was. So knowing that those feelings are out there and those experiences are there, like that is kind of like, that is what keeps drawing me back towards like, I gotta go. Like I gotta find that.
The emotional part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the emotion, I tell you what, and the emotion of anything is the only reason you do anything.
Exactly.
So.
Right.
That's exactly why the itch is so like prominent, and that's what's cool, is that you wouldn't have that itch if the emotion wasn't there.
Right.
So and like for a fact, and like me too, like being on the road, once you get it, it's just like the simple things, dude. Driving that sucker down a 5-lane highway in Phoenix and like here's the thing, it's not even that it's stressful. It's that I'm here, I'm gonna stick in this middle lane, and I like not only like you get to experience all these other people. Like I get to figure out how people drive. I get to like this guy's an asshole. Like this guy's being nice and letting me in. Like I feel that way when I'm driving. I feel like I'm communicating in that way, in that sense. And it's just like in a car, maybe not. Maybe in a Jeep you feel that way too. I mean, you always wave to other Jeeps. But like in the van, like when you're driving that thing, people know what you're doing. Yeah. So it's just like, okay.
And like
we're chill.
Yeah, it's like the Jeep wave, man. It's like, you know, not even knowing this person, not having any conversation with them, you know what their mindset's like, at least somewhat.
Yes.
You know, like you know where their priorities lie, at least somewhat.
Yes.
And so you can relate at least on a very base level. It's like,
and it's so easy to, and like you said, like there's no shame in that. Like I can say one thing to a person in a van like this, and first of all, if they say anything bad, I know that I can just stick away.
Right.
But like, odds are, this is gonna kill.
Yeah.
Like this is gonna just completely fuck this guy's day up, and he's gonna be so happy that we just met. And it's, I mean,
and it's because like, you know, it's a knowing, right? Like it's like, you know, like I get something and you get something that like, you know, most other people don't get.
Yeah.
You know, don't understand, like don't know, or like at least what the feeling is of like, you know, doing this lifestyle, or like, you know,
we're part of this group that no one else is a part of.
Yeah. Exactly. And you know, so there's that connection. It's a cool feeling. But
this is dope, man.
Yeah.
Guess how long we went?
What's that?
Guess.
2:10.
2:04. That's dope. So yeah, I guess we'll end it here. But thanks for being on. Thanks for coming and sitting on my porch.
It's fun.
And just chilling, watching the sunset, dude. That was actually beautiful, by the way. It was.
I saw that.
That was dope. I saw you looking. I was like, I didn't want to like make a comment in the middle of it, but I was like, it was good.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for sunsets for sure.
Fuck yeah. Especially, I mean, I like you get a little bit more clouds involved here, but you go out west and it's just like big. Yeah. It's so much bigger.
Did you go to Montana when you were out there? Mm-mm. Dude, Montana was unreal. I mean, like, they call it the big sky state, right? Yeah. Like, the sky is huge. It doesn't make sense, but it is.
it's like, I don't know. I gotta get there. Yeah. Idaho, I want to get to Idaho too. Ironically enough. People always talk about like just Idaho being lame, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I listened to another podcast. Someone was saying the people in Idaho tell people not to tell other people about it.
Yeah, so like, hey,
keep this hidden. Yeah,
it's like what Colorado used to be, and then they legalized weed, and then everybody went out there and realized how cool of a state it was.
Yeah, like fuck it, let's go here.
Right. Idaho's all mountains. Like
all mountains.
Like I mean, I would say the majority of it is all mountains.
Damn.
And so
see, it's also, I mean, driving a Jeep would be a little bit more fun, but driving that fucker in the mountains is like, it's fun, but it's also like
a little sketch.
Yeah, because like if you come up on a curve a little quick, you're like, whoa, I could fall right off the side of this.
Yeah, right.
I had Colorado, the wind in these mountains, literally, it was a 2-lane road, thank God, but like it put me into the other lane. I have never been in a van or in any car and had it legitly just go going 70 miles an hour, and your van now is 10 feet to the left. And I was like, holy shit, if there would have been someone right next to me, they would have been fucked. Like there would have been nothing I could do about that. And there's a cliff right there, so like I don't know what I would have done. It would have been nuts. But that's just the way it goes.
Right.
Okay, man. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me on.
Curly in Progress number 21 or 22, I think. 22.